Kelsey was 8 weeks pregnant.
Last seen in Pueblo, visiting her boyfriend.
Friends and family would get text replies back, but they said that it just didn't quite sound like Kelsey.
I did have a sinking feeling in my stomach.
This unknown man is seen walking to Kelsey Schelling's car and is seen driving away with the car.
I mean, we're trying everything.
Breaks my heart.
Almost 2 years after Kelsey's disappearance, a mysterious message giving everyone hope comes through that Help Find Kelsey Facebook page.
It was saying, if I have information about Kelsey, can I remain anonymous?
Kelsey Schelling grew up in the tiny farm town of Holyoke, Colorado.
Holyoke is around 2.5 to 3 hours away from Denver.
It's quiet. Just kind of have your own way.
Perfect place to raise a family.
Yeah, real good place, yeah. Safe. You're hoping anyway, you know.
Holyoke is definitely agricultural. There's only one stoplight, and if you want to go to a Walmart, you've got to head west to Sterling. That's 50 miles away.
In the early 90s, Kelsey's parents, Doug and Laura, owned the local grocery store in Holyoke. Kelsey and her brother Colby seemed to be living out the American dream. I first met Laura Saxton back in 2016 when 2020 was first looking into Kelsey's story.
You know, she's just always been a little firecracker. Hi, Cal. Hi, Cocoa Bean.
Kelsey. Kel.
She wasn't a kid that wanted to stay up till midnight, you know, where you usually have to fight your kids to go to bed, like at 8:30. That's when she wanted to go to bed. She'd go into her room and pull back her covers, and each animal had to be in a certain place, and everything had to be just perfect.
When she got to be 2, 3, 4 years old, she was feisty. You'd try to give her a kiss, and she'd slap me pretty good, so I kind of learned my lesson, you know.
My first impression of Kelsey, she was just an active, outdoors, fun-loving girl, liked to do a lot of sports. When my daughter and Kelsey first met up, their true love was playing basketball together.
I was her coach, yeah. Here she is right here.
Wow. Is she the point guard?
Mm-hmm.
When we were still in elementary school, her dad took us out and let us drive on the dirt roads, which is pretty common around here. Kelsey could just laugh about things like that, and her laugh made us laugh. She'd start to giggle, then you would start to giggle, and so that's what made being around Kelsey so special.
Kelsey was a tiny little thing, you know, shorter than me.
The Kelsey that I knew didn't take a lot of crap off her classmates. You know, she wasn't afraid to stand her ground.
But as Kelsey enters her teens, the Schelling family is rocked when Doug and Laura decide to divorce.
Going through a divorce is really hard as a kid.
Yeah, the split of our parents certainly had an impact on both of us.
Colby.
Colby lived with me, and Kelsey lived with her mom. It was a real dark time for the whole family.
It was a rough age. You know, after her dad and I got divorced, it was just she and I together alone for a lot of years.
She was in a bad emotional place, and I don't think that was due to her character and nature. I think that was circumstantial.
When Laura and I was going through a divorce, she was on antidepressant pills, and she ended up taking like 3 of them or something.
She ended up in the hospital for several days, and it was pretty scary. I mean, I thought we were going to lose her at that point.
She was in a coma?
She was.
I felt like it was a turning point. I mean, when any young school-age kid has parents who are splitting up, that's a lot to take on. She actually stopped doing all of the sports and activities. Seemed like she was more removed.
I think Kelsey was just looking for a change. She wanted to figure out what was her niche.
Kelsey was always, I think, working through, how do I be better? How do I grow? How do I move past this?
Our senior year, she was the prom queen. You don't get that without showing people kindness and respect and truly being embraced by your peers, you know.
Kelsey taught me, she taught me perseverance.
Eventually, she moves on. She goes to Northeastern Junior College. What did she want to do with her life?
She wanted to get a degree in psychology. I think in her heart, she wanted to work with children.
We officially became roommates January of 2011. If all of us were bored at 3 o'clock in the morning, she'd be the one to say, let's go cause problems, I guess. Not bad problems, she was just, you know, out for a good time. She loved to have fun. That was her thing to do.
And for a while, carefree Kelsey is back. And then she meets Dante Lucas. He's about to change her life forever.
It was a big deal that she was dating Dante. He was part of the basketball team. They were kind of the popular kids and everything. By the time Kelsey got to know him, she felt proud that she knew who he was because he was somebody to know.
He had dreams of making it big in the NBA.
Kelsey thought she met the man of her dreams.
Marker.
Please say your full name and give us your title.
Lisa Wayne, attorney at law. Well, I had the privilege of being down in Pueblo in the 80s, and I was a public defender. Pueblo's a small town in southern Colorado. Used to be a steel mill town. The steel mill shut down in the 80s.
Pueblo was founded and built by people that came from all over the world.
We're the home of the Pueblo chili. Everyone that lives there is so proud of this town.
Kelsey's love interest, Dante Lucas, lives in Pueblo. Sarah Lucas, Dante's mother, is raising all 4 kids on her own in this Colorado town set on what's called the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains. In the town of Pueblo, a 6'7" star athlete stands out.
I coached Dante Lucas in youth football. He was a coach's dream. He was a real polite kid, wanted to learn the game of football and just really quiet. Dante Lucas was super close with his mother, Sarah. On the football field, she was one of the most supportive parents. For Dante, football wasn't his sport. I'd say he's a better basketball player, which happened later in his career through high school here in Pueblo.
Dante Lucas was a very well-known basketball player. He was going to be the one who made it out of Pueblo.
He had dreams of making it big in the NBA.
It was obvious that he wanted to pursue it, but the family spoke more about it than he did. We were told by Dante's mom, Sarah, that he was getting contacted from North Carolina and Kentucky. Their dream was that he was going to make the NBA and make a good life for himself.
When I first met Dante, he was a freshman here at Central High School. He was 6'7". If you have that kind of size, you know, you can make a lot of things happen.
It just amazed me as a guy in class that was so quiet was just as popular as he was.
He was a really good role model for the young kids in the neighborhood.
His attitude was always good. He was good with his teammates. He just matured into a very good basketball player.
His overall drive as a student from day one, it wasn't up to snuff. As a teacher, I'd try to get him involved with the rest of the class. I talked to him about that several times.
Whether it was his grades or his skill, Dante didn't get into an NCAA school, but he wanted to continue to play basketball. Dante gets recruited to Northeastern Junior College in Sterling, Colorado. He's playing basketball when he meets Kelsey Schelling, and they begin dating.
Kelsey and another one of our roommates actually went to a basketball game and were scouting out the cute boys on the team, saw Dante and decided to go up and talk, and that's how she and Dante met. By the time Kelsey got to know him and really got kind of involved, she felt proud that she knew who he was because he was somebody to know. They spent a lot of their extra free time together.
When did you first meet him?
I never met him. I saw him play basketball a couple times.
Kelsey never really said anything about bringing him home to meet the parents.
He was not committed to her by any means.
Kelsey could have had anybody, but she kind of always took attraction to people that needed help, that she thought she could turn around.
I believe that if Dante was, failing or had bad grades, that his basketball career at the school would be definitely on pause. I don't honestly think that Dante really cared to learn. Kelsey would try to help him. He would just seem very disinterested and not really care.
I think she just hoped if she was good enough to him that, he would realize that, she's the one.
I think Kelsey stayed with Dante because she found someone that gave her attention even if it wasn't the right kind of attention. And I think Dante was with Kelsey because he got money from Kelsey, borrowed Kelsey's car, basically lived a life that everyone works for but didn't have to do anything for it. Just had to be there.
There were good days in the relationship with Dante, and then it just went south. He would play with her heart. I could definitely see some bubbliness fading out as he broke her spirit.
Kelsey texts Dante, "I'm really hurt. The way you talk about me to other people is your true feelings. I guess I'm just a fool. I'm so heartbroken." Days later, Dante would respond, "My phone's been dead the past few days."
And then afterwards she'd be like, "Oh, well, he's better, he's gonna be better." And then she'd be happy.
Dante left Northeastern Junior College because he was kind of done with his studies.
After Kelsey leaves Northeastern Junior College, she lands in California, but she doesn't stay there long. Why did she decide to leave?
Mostly it was financial reasons.
Where did she go from there?
That's when she moved back to Colorado. Was living in Denver in her dad's apartment, and she had started working at Floor and Decor.
When did she start going out with Dante again?
Over the holiday time frame, November, December, he would stay with her, but then he'd go back to Pueblo sometime.
Were you worried that he would come back and what that would do to her?
Absolutely. I saw what it was like before, and I didn't want that to happen to her again. She didn't want that to happen to her again, because she knew the kind of person that she became when she was with him.
And how in the world did they get back together?
I don't know. She missed him, I guess.
Kelsey has a surprise for her family. She's pregnant.
She called me when she found out she was pregnant, and she was stressed, very stressed. I could tell she was scared to tell me. Just told her, "I will support you. It's going to be okay." She was happy.
Did she tell you anything about Dante's reaction?
She said he was mad.
She and Dante would be texting, and he would stop responding either during arguments that they were having. She would then get upset, wait to hear back from Dante, and left in limbo, and it was very aggravating for her.
Kelsey texts Dante, "You were my best friend, the only thing I lived for day after day. What happened to us? It wasn't supposed to be like this."
One time I'd talk to her and she'd say, he's kind of coming around, and Dante will never abandon the baby.
But a child with Kelsey was not in Dante's plans.
Kelsey gets a text from Dante, and he says that he has something for her. He alludes to a surprise, and he wants her to come to Pueblo.
Kelsey had come home. When she was here, she slept a lot. I knew it was hard on her working full-time in Denver. Now with the new pregnancy, she was really tired. I said, "I will support you. Whether Dante is in the picture or not in the picture, it's going to be okay." She was happy. She wanted that baby. She wanted to be a mom.
She was in a good place.
Yes. So I'm thankful for those couple of days that we got before she went missing.
My name is Zach Hillstrom. I am a reporter at the Pueblo Chieftain. I think that people have been trying to fill in the blanks about what happened to Kelsey from the time that it happened, and not just when the mystery seemed like it might be a permanent one. On February 3rd of 2013, Dante Lucas, her boyfriend, was trying to convince Kelsey Schelling to come visit him in Pueblo that day. She responded with a firm no. It seems like they fought a lot that night. Just before 3 a.m., Kelsey texted Dante, "You don't have to be in a relationship with me. You don't have to marry me. You don't have to have a happy little family with me. You don't have an obligation to me. You're good. Don't worry. Good night." Lucas's response to that was, "Oh, I know all of that. Thanks for stating that for me."
So it was February 4th, and Kelsey had taken 3 home pregnancy tests. So she went into the doctor and had the doctor confirm to her that she was actually pregnant. She got the sonogram done. She even had the photo in hand of her sonogram. She was able to share that with her mom.
What did you think when you saw the baby?
I was happy. I knew that she was happy.
She showed up to work probably 10 minutes late. She just had her ultrasound. She's really excited. She was in a great mood that day.
That morning, Kelsey told Dante that she had finished her appointment and that her due date was September 13th. Lucas's response to that was cool. He asked her to skip work and come to Pueblo. She texted him, "I'm not gonna come get you so we can fight all day." He texted back, "I don't wanna fight at all. I want to give you this." She writes back, "Give me what?" He says, "Just wait and see for yourself. You probably wouldn't believe me if I told you anyway, so you can see for yourself."
Kelsey decides to go down to Pueblo after work.
She clocked out of work at a little bit after 8:40 p.m. and hit the road to see Dante in Pueblo.
So Denver to Pueblo drive right down I-25. It's about 2 hours long. It's just one straight path. Not a lot of people are out on the roads. It is a lonely, quiet drive. While she's driving down to Pueblo, Dante sends her a text saying, "Let's meet at the Southside Walmart." She parks her car there.
She texted him at 10:20 saying she'd arrived, and he replied that he'd be there shortly.
She's waiting, and she's getting impatient, like any girlfriend would.
At 11:10 p.m., he still hadn't shown up to the Walmart.
That's when Dante says, "Let's meet at our spot," which is in the neighborhood of his grandmother's home, and that's where Dante was staying at the time. She moved her car there from the Southside Walmart. She was just parked on the side of the road in this residential neighborhood. So then she's left waiting there again, and she's still impatiently texting him.
The last confirmed message from Kelsey was sent at 11:18 p.m. She was asking Dante, "Where are you? I've been here for over an hour just waiting."
The following day, the 5th, she didn't show up for work. So I tried calling her, couldn't get a response. So then I shot her a text message asking her where she was, why she wasn't at work. Got a text message back right away saying that she was in the hospital having some tests done. And she said that she was not having a baby anymore, it was growing in the wrong place.
I tried calling her on Wednesday. She didn't answer her phone, which is kind of pretty rare. And then I texted her, I said, "Hey, give me a call." I got a text message back, says, "I'm not feeling good, I'm on the couch, I'll call you tomorrow."
I kept trying to call, and she wouldn't answer. Toward the end of the week, it was going directly to voicemail. So then, in the back of my mind, I'm starting to get concerned.
After Kelsey had driven to Pueblo, there was never a phone call that was answered from her phone.
Kelsey is not the type of person who would not talk to her friends. She was glued to her phone.
Friends and family would get text replies back, but they said that it came in a voice that just didn't quite sound like Kelsey. It was just short, quick responses.
Generally, any text message I had from Kelsey, words were spelled and there was punctuation, and they didn't have that.
I got to looking at the text message and it's like, man, I don't think that was her.
Why didn't you think that was her?
Just the verbiage in it and stuff. I mean, it just didn't seem like, her texting me.
Then on that Saturday morning, it's like the whole world just unraveled. All of her friends started contacting us saying, we've been trying to reach Kelsey and we can't reach her. I called Doug, her dad, and said, something is wrong. And so then we all drove up to Denver that day. Went into the apartment. There was no sign of her in the apartment. And that's when we called the Denver police.
Family members were visibly upset. They were frantic, actually, almost feverishly asking for any help they could get in trying to locate her.
Did you reach out to Dante?
And I did contact him to ask him, if he knew where she was.
What did he sound like on the phone? Because the call that you're making to him is, Kelsey, the woman that you are with, the mother of your child, is missing. We are desperate to find her.
Nothing, no. Not worked up, not, just...
He's not scared? What can
No.
I do? How can I
No.
help?
No, he just says if I hear from her, I'll let you know. And then a little bit later, he got back with me. He said, I heard from Kelsey. She called from a private number. She said she doesn't have her phone. And she said she'll be getting a hold of you.
Intimating that she's alive,
Mhm.
she's out there.
And I said, well, can you track that number? And he's like, yeah, I'll try and figure out what the number was. And then, of course, he never did.
When this case first came in, I called Dante. He was telling me that he had seen her and had talked with her and spent time with her more recently than any of her family members, any of her friends. After I got off the phone, I did have a sinking feeling in my stomach. The following Friday, February 15th, that morning is when we drove down to Pueblo to turn the investigation over to the Pueblo Police Department.
We, in the beginning, were trying not to call him a suspect, just to try to build a rapport with him and try to sit down and get him to open up.
Can you kind of tell me just briefly what happened?
Well, early Tuesday morning, she came down to Pueblo.
During the course of the interrogation with Dante Lucas, he reveals some pretty shocking things about Kelsey and about the baby.
Now to the mysterious disappearance of a Denver woman.
Pregnant woman who vanished. Kelsey was 8 weeks pregnant. Last seen in Pueblo, visiting her boyfriend, Dante Lucas.
So when do you start talking to Dante Lucas?
We start talking to him fairly quickly as far as what is going on.
Police bring Dante in for questioning, and immediately he denies a romantic relationship with Kelsey.
Now, is she your girlfriend or no?
We never were actually in a relationship.
Can you kind of tell me just briefly what happened?
She came down to Pueblo and we're talking whatever. She ended up, getting mad at me or whatever.
Dante tells Officer Robinson that Kelsey slept in her car in Pueblo.
He said that they met up again the following morning and that he brought Kelsey Schelling to Parkview Medical Center, where she went inside.
So went to Parkview, and she went in and stayed for about almost 2 hours, hour 45 too.
We have no record of Kelsey Schelling ever being here at Parkview Medical Center.
Now, what do you check to find out if she was here or not?
We have a medical records system that keeps track of every patient that's ever walked through our doors.
So for you, there was no way she's ever here?
That's correct.
He alluded to the fact that she may have had a miscarriage.
She came out and she told me that she wasn't pregnant.
Just the day before in Denver, Kelsey's doctor told her that the baby was healthy.
So then after we left Parkview,
Dante claimed that he and Kelsey then went to the Southside Walmart. Kelsey was going to grab some snacks before she made the drive back to Denver.
She went to go get some snacks, like something to eat, because she was hungry. And then came back out, we ended up talking, and she ended up telling me, like, get out of the car at Walmart, and she didn't want to take me home. So I just left from Walmart, started walking home, and then my mom came and got me.
But surveillance video from Walmart reveals a different version of events.
He contends that the two of them are together, and clearly, based on the surveillance, it's one person. It's him getting out of the car, and no one else exits.
When the car was parked at Walmart on February 5th, police believe that it was Dante Lucas parking that car, getting out and walking away. They have pretty good surveillance video showing it.
The car sat there overnight.
The morning of February 6th, this unknown man is seen walking to Kelsey Schelling's car, parked at the Southside Walmart, and is seen driving away with the car. We have no idea who that person was in that video.
It's a car that that person is familiar with. And we know earlier that Dante had the key.
Who do you think that someone was that came back and drove that car away?
You know, there's similarities to Dante, but it's nothing that we can 100% say that is the person who drove it away.
When Dante Lucas talked with police, he didn't paint the best picture of Kelsey. He painted a picture of, just that she was kind of troubled.
She had like bad anxiety. She has anxiety attacks, so she had pills for that.
What can you tell me about that?
She's told me before that like she's ended up in like the hospital a few times from like overdosing, I guess.
Dante cast her to police as someone who had troubles with drugs. No?
I don't believe that, no.
She just one time she told me about the suicide, but she told me she ended up in the hospital blind like multiple times.
When she was 15 years old, she did. So yes, she has had that in her past. But if she committed suicide, you would find her body. I mean, she was happy. She wanted that baby. She wanted to be a mom.
So at this point, Kelsey has been missing for more than a week. But on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2013, her car is discovered.
The car of a missing Denver woman has been found in Pueblo.
Detectives will be examining Kelsey's car.
It was big news when Kelsey's car was found at St. Mary Corwin Medical Center. How did it get there? What happened to Kelsey?
I knew once her car was found that something horrible had happened, because there's just no way that she would have gone somewhere and left her car.
To find the car and no Kelsey.
And no Kelsey. We did not have any good security footage that could tell us who dropped off the car, how the car got there. Normally, if someone was going to go away for a few days, they'd take their car with them. So we are now leaning towards foul play. So we accelerate the case.
Police start working backwards. They start going through surveillance video, and what they find is pretty surprising. Less than 12 hours after she would have arrived in Pueblo, surveillance video shows Dante in her car at an ATM in Pueblo. He's driving and he takes $400 out of Kelsey's bank account.
But is it suspicious for you that he uses that card after the date where you pinpoint Kelsey was missing?
It is part of the suspicious activity, yes.
Because Dante withdraws money from Kelsey's account without her in the car, Dante is brought in for a second time by Pueblo police.
This is the second time I talked to you.
These detectives had a wealth of information to go at him.
Why'd you get the money?
The money? What money are we talking about?
11:39 at the bank. You're on video, dude. In her car with her credit card. You're on tape.
Yo, this for the 400 they're talking about? This is for my phone bill.
Why didn't she go with you to the ATM? It's not in the car. It's on the video.
It may have been while she was over the hospital. I'm not sure about like I said, like my time frame has been messed up.
The detective moves on to another topic, talking about why there's no record of Kelsey ever showing up at the hospital.
There's no record of her ever being at Parkview.
That's like all I have to say.
Now here's the thing. Instead of pressing Dante on these contradictions, they move on to an unrelated topic.
When you dropped her off, when she dropped you off at Walmart, where were you parked at? I mean, like, apparently you guys know, so, like, I don't understand why you, like, I told him one time, like, that's all I can say about it.
When she dropped you off, when was that again?
Can I speak to a lawyer, please? So if you guys just keep asking the same questions over and over, like, I just like to speak to a lawyer.
Once he requests a lawyer, all questions come to a halt.
Unfortunately, this is a very poorly executed interview. I think it's a tremendous missed opportunity.
Once he shut down, our avenues of trying to talk to him end.
How did you read that?
As the possibility that he knows something.
Lucas was arrested on February 15th. They don't arrest him on murder charges. He was arrested on felony identity theft charges for using Kelsey's debit card at the bank that day.
But those charges were later dropped when investigators found out that Kelsey did, on occasion, give him permission to use her bank card.
How do you prove she did not or did give him permission at that time? And since you had permission to do it before, it makes it a very difficult case to prosecute.
He's released. He's, living his life.
Do we suspect foul play? Yes. Have we come up with a body? No. Dante is a person of interest in the fact that she's missing.
Hoping to get Dante to talk, police bring in the person who knows him better than anyone.
Keep us up at night. This was a story that I spent 4 years working on and reporting on.
5 years of no answers.
I wanted so badly for there to be justice in this case.
To let you see
Even though Kelsey's car was found in Pueblo, Kelsey hadn't been found. Police, maintained at that time that it was a missing persons case.
When the charges of identity theft are dropped in March of 2013, police can't get Dante to talk again.
You'll have the chair right there. I'll grab you water and we'll be back in a second.
So they take a different tact. They decide to speak to his mother, Sarah Lucas.
I would love to clear Dante and move on. If Dante would come in, do a polygraph, we ask him like 5 questions. If he passes that, we can move on and look other directions.
I will relay that to his lawyer, and I know my son wants nothing more than to find out what happened to her.
Detectives ask her about February 5th. That's the day that Dante was seen on surveillance camera parking Kelsey's car at Walmart.
Did you in fact pick Dante up?
I did pick my son up.
At that time, did you see Kelsey? Was she with him or?
No, she wasn't with him then.
Do you know where she was?
In the house.
Sarah gives Dante an alibi for his whereabouts on February 6th, when that unknown man is seen moving Kelsey's car from the Walmart.
On the 6th, Dante, or somebody that looks remarkably similar to Dante, I'm not going to say 100% was him, but went back and picked it up.
There's no way that was him. There's no way he was at home. I know my son. He's not capable of hurting anybody.
But it's been 3 years since this case happened. No one's been charged.
That's right. You have inconsistencies, lies, but without a body or any direct evidence that tells us something happened to her, to a homicide, it may happen one day, but right now it's, we haven't had any evidence to reclassify it.
You look at the Pueblo Police Department, they probably didn't have as many resources, and her family quickly became frustrated with how this investigation was progressing, or kind of the lack thereof any progress.
Kelsey's still not a victim, according to them. There's not been a criminal act committed, according to them. We just want an effective investigation done into Kelsey's disappearance.
Her family is pleading for your help.
We're doing everything in our power to find our missing loved one.
We tried to push Pueblo police for answers. We were there for every press conference, every event. We just weren't getting any new information from them at all. And to me, that was so frustrating.
The investigation really isn't being handled properly.
Laura Saxton, always been a fierce advocate for her daughter, and I don't think she'll rest until Kelsey is found.
Many in Pueblo are not giving up on finding clues that could help find Kelsey Schelling.
Why do you think people feel so strongly about Kelsey's case?
They can't believe it. They try and imagine what if it was their child.
We're gonna break up again over here.
In May of that year, when she went missing, they started doing their own searches because they didn't think police were looking hard enough.
The whole community was rallying. There were so many searches for her body all over the city of Pueblo.
This is probably one of the largest groups we've had in a while.
after 3 years. That means a lot, so thank you.
Come on, kid.
People were scattering, just looking for any shred of evidence.
It's becoming harder to come back. I dread the trips, but I know I have to do it.
She comes home empty-handed. The one thing that she doesn't have is Kelsey.
They never found anything on those searches. Then those searches turned into anniversaries.
Kelsey Schelling disappeared 4 years ago this month.
And Kelsey's mother believes police are now closer than ever to finding her.
That turned into justice walks.
What do we want? Justice!
Around the Pueblo Police Department and the District Attorney's Office.
We appreciate you all so much. Your support keeps us going.
To put pressure on our system to do something here.
We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep coming up with ideas. I mean, we're trying everything.
Kelsey's family offers a $50,000 reward for information.
So you feel like you're doing everything you can, even to this day, to find out what happened with Kelsey?
Yes. There is no lead we don't follow up. We followed up leads from psychics that call in. Well, they've had a vision on where Kelsey is, and we followed up those leads.
In an effort to get some more information and hopefully some tips and leads in the case, Kelsey's family also set up a Facebook page, Help Find Kelsey.
It was one source or one place where people could come together to generate information, maybe from even people that didn't want to call police.
You get a Facebook message.
It was from a woman saying, if I have information about Kelsey, can I remain anonymous? It's so awful. He sold her into sex trafficking. I almost feel like I went insane. What if she is still out there somewhere?
We were on the ground to investigate, and I couldn't believe what happened.
Right when they're at the trunk, get ready. It's Ryan Smith, ABC News.
Is seen driving away with the car.
And Kelsey's just gone.
Kelsey had taken 3 home pregnancy tests.
Now, is she your girlfriend or no? We never were actually in a relationship.
The lead suspect stops talking.
Can I speak to a lawyer, please?
It's a dead end.
These are the stories that keep us up at night.
But an undercover volunteer befriends him.
I had to play the role that I didn't know what was happening, so I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, what is happening?
Okay, they're both rolling now.
There's a sting operation.
Right when they're at the trunk, get ready. We're about 10 seconds away. Marcus, Ryan Smith, ABC News. How you doing?
I know that my testimony could potentially help take him down.
The anxiety level was high, the tension was high.
A witness in the Dante Lucas trial
was found shot to death. Another moment where your jaw hit the floor.
When they came and told us the verdict was in, we all were just like, oh my God.
Her mother simply won't give up on finding Kelsey. For nearly 2 years, Laura Saxton had been on a desperate search for answers about her daughter Kelsey, who suddenly disappeared in February of 2013.
There will be a renewed search for clues in the case of Kelsey Schelling.
Just through seeing Laura Saxton, the tears, the sadness, the frustration, it all came, rolling out.
Many in Pueblo are not giving up on finding clues that could help find Kelsey Schelling.
The relentlessness of this mother's search really struck a chord with so many people in Pueblo. Scores of locals turned out to help Laura search all around the Pueblo area for any trace of Kelsey.
Over here on this other hike in 2 more groups.
The ride home is always really tough, going home empty-handed, emotionally and physically.
Is it hard to keep hope?
As far as the hope of actually finding her, that dwindles, every day.
But then, in October of 2015, nearly 2 years after Kelsey's disappearance, there's a shocking development. A mysterious message giving Laura hope comes through the Help Find Kelsey Facebook page. That's the page that Laura had set up to gather tips and leads on the case.
It was saying, if I have information about Kelsey, can I remain anonymous?
When Laura responds, a man emails her saying, "Ma'am, please, your daughter is not dead. She will be back home alive." The man offers a harrowing account of what really happened to Kelsey. He claims that Dante hired a friend to kill her and says Dante has no idea she is alive. He thinks she is dead.
And that the friend did not kill her. He sold her into sex trafficking. It made me sick. I mean, I could barely function. What if she is still out there somewhere?
The emailer says he needs money to help Kelsey escape. $50,000 in cash. So the plan is this. The money is to be brought to Vancouver, Washington, specifically to a local McDonald's restaurant. Then it's to be hand-delivered to a guy named Marcus, who would be wearing a red hat.
Once the money was exchanged, then this courier person would go and get Kelsey and bring her back to the McDonald's. I'll have to sell some stocks, which will take about a week, but I can push to expedite that process. I just thought, what if she's been out there and I could have found her and we haven't? I mean, it was just what if?
Laura sets up the meeting at the McDonald's in Vancouver to deliver the cash. But even though she's desperate for answers, she's worried that something criminal is going on. So she reaches out to the Vancouver police and asks them to go undercover to meet this courier.
It felt like law enforcement from Vancouver should have been involved in the situation.
But just before the appointed time, the Vancouver police back out, believing it to be an internet scam and not an actual human trafficking plot. But 2020 had the McDonald's under surveillance to see if anyone would show up. Our cameras are rolling as a man with a red hat comes in.
That's him.
He sits quietly. But after no one shows up, he takes off.
Okay, he's on the move. Cut the engine.
Weird, eerie to see that they actually were, going through with this.
He's gone.
It was just all a matter of trying to get down to the truth of this.
As I was investigating this mysterious email, a contact of mine told me about another missing woman's case that proved to be the key to unraveling this mystery. In Portsmouth, Ohio, 1,200 miles away from Colorado, Megan Lancaster, 25 years old, has also suddenly disappeared.
Katie Lancaster is on a mission to help find her sister-in-law.
I mean, she's gone without a trace. We have her car and her wallet.
An eerie feeling like there's something, like we're gonna find something.
Months go by with no developments. Megan's family organizes searches and sets up a Facebook page to publicize the case.
And then, out of nowhere, he pops up.
A startling message comes through the family's Facebook page about Megan.
He says, I know where Megan is, and I can get her back.
Just like with Kelsey's family, the emailer says he can help Megan escape, but he needs money, $50,000. He directs them to bring $25,000 in cash up front to Vancouver, Washington, specifically to that same McDonald's, and deliver it to a man named Marcus, wearing, no surprise, a red hat.
What if he really does have her, and I can bring her home?
You should stick with the crew, behind the camera, with the crew.
To unravel just what's going on with this mystery, Katie agreed to work with 2020 to set up a sting operation.
Katie and I are going to be in one vehicle.
Just like Laura did 2 weeks earlier, she arranges a meeting to drop off the money in Vancouver at that McDonald's.
There are booths over here.
Katie, you said this morning that they sent you a text message.
They will be sending Marcus.
Okay, they're both rolling now. I would be going to this rendezvous with Katie, but wearing a hidden camera. As we walk into the McDonald's at the appointed meet time, we quickly spot Marcus, the man in the red hat, and walk over to him. Katie was instructed not to ask any questions, so I told Marcus, hey, the money is in the trunk of a car parked outside.
Right when they're at the trunk, get ready. We're about 10 seconds away.
Meanwhile, I was waiting outside with our camera team and a security guard in case this thing went sideways.
Okay, let's get ready.
As they head out to the parking lot, before the trunk is opened, I walk over to Marcus. I want to get some answers.
Marcus Ryan Smith, ABC News. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Why'd you come here to take $25,000 from Katie?
I don't know.
You don't know why you're here to take $25,000 from Katie?
Nope.
What are you here for?
Oh, because to collect some money.
You see, Marcus claims he was suckered too, lured online into a supposed jewelry venture. He says he was supposed to pick up the money and then wire it to someone he's never met.
So a random guy tells you to go to McDonald's twice in less than 2 weeks to meet people to pick up money, and you don't think anything of it?
I didn't think none of it.
We were told that you were going to deliver Megan to Katie today. Is that true?
I have no idea about no Megan or no kidnapping or anything like that.
This would be a scheme to extort money from families who have family members that are missing.
I didn't know nothing of this. I had no clue anybody was supposed to be exchanging nothing for a human being. If I did know, I would not have been involved in this situation.
So you've been here twice, coming to pick up money at a McDonald's. Your name is attached to this.
Just feel shaky inside.
I had no clue.
It's important that you be real honest with me.
Yeah, I'm real honest.
You have never heard of Kelsey Schelling?
Never.
Definitely a big scam. I want to know who's behind it.
But an FBI analysis of the emailer's Facebook page showed it used an IP address traced all the way to Russia.
In most scams, they're compartmentalized. So the person you may send to pick up the cash at a particular location may know nothing about what the scam is.
Then that's just 100% clarification that, you know, this is just some dirtbags out there, you know, trying to get money off of these poor families.
But while the extortion plot that was torturing Laura was laid to rest, the roller coaster ride wasn't over. A sympathetic stranger who feels for Laura comes up with a shocking plan to go undercover on her own and befriend Dante to try to find the truth about what happened to Kelsey.
I knew that I was potentially putting myself into danger.
Dante Lucas?
And when we go to get some answers from Dante, she was right there with him.
What do you have to say to her family?
Even though Laura Saxton lives hundreds of miles away from Pueblo, Colorado, the news about her years-long crusade to find her missing daughter continued to resonate with folks living there.
Our top story tonight, the search for Kelsey Schelling. Today, law enforcement following new leads in the case.
We're going to keep coming up with ideas. I mean, we're trying everything.
I felt really heartbroken for her. As a mom, I couldn't even begin to fathom knowing that your child's out there.
It's spring of 2016 when Lauren Shore, a single mom living near Pueblo, says Laura's story inspired her to hatch an audacious plan of her own. Make Facebook friends with Dante Lucas, gain his trust, and meet up with him in real life, and just maybe help solve the mystery of what happened to Kelsey.
Definitely was nerve-wracking, but I felt like I could do it. So I had messaged him on Facebook, and I told him that I was looking to meet new friends. He responded fairly quickly, within, I say, a couple of hours.
Lauren was eventually able to get Dante to meet her in person. When we shot this footage of Dante playing basketball in 2016, Lauren was there with him. She says it was only the second time they'd ever met.
We had went to a basketball court to just play around, shoot some hoops, and that's when a man with a camera came up to us.
Dante Lucas, I'm with ABC News 2020. The family of Kelsey says you're responsible for her disappearance. Is that true?
Who's Kelsey? I freaked out. I had to play the role that I didn't know what was happening, so I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, what is happening?
What's happening right now?
And he kind of just shut down and was like, I'll tell you about it later on. Don't freak out. It's okay. None of this is true.
As the weeks go by, Lauren says she's able to develop a close relationship with Dante.
We just hang around the family, watch movies, drink a little bit. He always smelt of alcohol. He comes off as very cocky, I feel like. He feels like he's just the man, and he can't do no wrong.
Just as she'd planned, Lauren says she got Dante to open up, to trust her enough. The time finally seemed right to ask him about Kelsey.
There was only a certain amount of period of time that he would talk about it. 1 minute he had no involvement, he had nothing to do with it, and then he would just shut down and start crying hysterically and get really upset.
But Lauren says something very unexpected happened with Dante. Her undercover relationship with him blossomed into romance.
I felt like he did genuinely develop feelings for me and did genuinely fall in love with me. He has this way about him that makes you just feel so sorry for him. In the back of my mind, I always kept that he is potentially a murderer.
Lauren says her relationship with Dante continued for about a year, but then something happened. There was an incident outside his house that made her realize she was in way over her head.
He's like, I want you to marry me. And he showed me the ring, I took the ring. At that point, I was kind of like done, because I didn't want to get in any deeper than I had already gotten into.
Despite all the efforts of this clandestine girlfriend, her work doesn't seem to be paying off, and the clock just keeps ticking for Laura Saxton. She's not any closer to knowing the truth about what happened to Kelsey.
I wasn't happy at all with how things were going, and I mean, that's one big reason why I wanted to do the first story with you guys. Was I was hoping that that would somehow bring something out into the light.
Tonight on 2020, when do you stop looking for a pregnant daughter who's vanished?
In May of 2016, our first 2020 program on the Kelsey Schelling case hits the airwaves. The very day of our broadcast, there's a big announcement regarding the investigation into Kelsey's disappearance. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation was going to join the case.
That was news to me, so I was kind of like, oh my God, this is awesome.
I think once that 2020 special aired, it really turned up the heat on Pueblo police and on this case.
Taking over the case, Pueblo Police Department Commander Eric Bravo and CBI agent Kevin Torres. Working together, they move fast, turning it from a missing persons case into a full-blown criminal investigation.
It was a homicide investigation in our eyes, so I immediately started working on setting a plan into motion how we wanted to proceed.
Police got a tip that led them to believe Schelling's body might be in Dante's backyard.
It's not long before police dig up the yard of the house where Dante and his family had been staying.
So we thought, man, you know, we really have something. But it went from elation to satisfaction. You know, that day it just seemed like we were there, and then it slipped away.
During the investigation, Agent Torres finds out about Dante's relationship with Lawrence Shore. When he interviews Shore, she reveals that Dante had made a key admission to her about Kelsey's disappearance. And it's about that Walmart surveillance video of the mystery man walking over to her car and then driving off with it.
She confirmed for us Dante admitting it was him in the Walmart surveillance video. She also informed us that Dante admitted to her dropping Kelsey's car off at St. Mary Corwin Hospital. The piece of information that Lauren provided to us was a pretty crucial piece at that point.
Then, in late 2017, there's a huge development that will totally transform the case. A Pueblo man tells police that Dante and other family members had attacked him in front of their home and stolen $1,000 from him. Now that gives police a reason to arrest Dante.
I had information that Dante was leaving Pueblo and was heading to DIA, where he seemingly intended to board a flight to Tucson. And the concern was that he may take other efforts to meet friends in Mexico.
Boy, the anxiety level was high, the tension was high.
The time was ticking away, and the tires were turning on the road. And Dante was within 20 minutes of getting on a plane for Tucson, Arizona, when he was arrested.
When he was arrested, there was hope across the community that maybe investigators would finally get some answers in this case.
We decided that the next day would be the day that we would send a couple detectives back in to try and answer some of the questions that we didn't have answered.
During his interrogation, Dante finally breaks down and comes clean, confirming Lawrence Shore's account that he was the one seen in that Walmart video.
So that information that he confirmed that that was him was huge.
You see, it was that admission, combined with the wealth of evidence from text messages, cell phone records, and surveillance video already gathered, all of that was enough for prosecutors to move forward.
At the end of the day, I said, I think we have enough here to go forward. I ethically believe that Dante Lucas killed Kelsey Schilling. and I think we have the evidence to prove it.
A major development, the ex-boyfriend of a pregnant Denver woman who went missing 4 years ago.
He now faces charges of first-degree murder.
How were you thinking as his trial approached? Are you thinking justice will be done?
I put a lot of things on hold because I just was, sure it was going to happen and, wanted to be ready to go.
So after 8 years, Dante Lucas is finally in court, and the prosecution has a surprise witness.
That just took the whole room's breath away. No one saw that coming. This story became such a big deal here in Pueblo because people want answers and they haven't gotten any for 8 years.
Dante Lucas, the Pueblo man accused of murdering his pregnant ex-girlfriend Kelsey Schelling nearly 8 years ago, is headed to trial tomorrow.
Did I think it was going to be a tough case? Absolutely. And we well may not win it. But I owe it to the family, I think I owe it to Kelsey, to go forward and try this case.
KRDO News Channel 13's Dan Beatty has been following this case and the trial for more than 2 years.
I was anticipating there to just be a mad rush of reporters who were going to try to get into the courtroom. I was very worried that I might not even get a seat. You could feel the anticipation. When I saw Laura Saxton walk into the judicial building, you could tell this was a day she's been waiting for a long time.
Denver 7's Liz Gilardi in Pueblo today for opening statements. Liz, you have been with this case every step of the way now for all these years.
The prosecution simply started out and they said, this is not a missing persons case, this is a homicide case.
The case that the prosecution was making right off the jump was, one, they were going to prove through text messages and surveillance video that Dante Lucas has to be the one responsible for Kelsey Schelling's death.
These were two people in a relationship. Kelsey Schelling became pregnant. Dante Lucas didn't want to have a baby. And he made sure that didn't happen.
I know that she had mentioned Kelsey Schelling's Chevy Cruze.
The prosecution said this car tells a story, and they told the jurors that you will see Dante Lucas moving this car around Pueblo in the days after she went missing.
The idea that someone can essentially disappear without a trace, I think, is kind of a counterintuitive thought for people to have.
Prosecutors think there's enough evidence to convict Lucas even without a body, but the defense disagrees.
In the opening statements, the defense said this is a missing persons case. This has always been a missing persons case. They said there's no body, there's no evidence. Why should you believe that Dante Lucas killed her?
They do not have a crime scene. They do not have a murder weapon.
Today, the jury got a detailed look at some of the text messages exchanged between them.
For the prosecutors, their goal was to show that those text messages showed intent, showed that Dante Lucas consistently lied, not only to investigators, but to Laura Saxton herself.
What they referred to as his luring of Kelsey Schelling to Pueblo.
The prosecution say that he lured her there to end her life.
We know that that's his phone. He admitted to those text messages. We know that that's his thoughts and feelings about it. That's direct evidence.
And the movements of their phones as well, as they were pinging off cell phone towers in Pueblo on the night of February 4th and the early morning hours of February 5th. I think that a lot of the case really centered around those movements.
Two pivotal witnesses testified in the high-profile Pueblo murder case against Dante Lucas.
First witness was Laura Saxton, and we were not expecting Laura Saxton to be the first one to take the stand. She didn't break down, but you can tell she's hurting. There's a lot of pain behind her voice.
I think that was really powerful for the jury to see. Her mom spoke to the fact that she absolutely wanted this baby.
Prosecutors today painted Kelsey Schelling as an excited mother-to-be, desperate to make it work with her boyfriend.
It didn't take long for the prosecutors to swing for the fences, calling some pretty shocking witnesses to the stand.
Ryan Rivera is a former Pueblo County inmate who considered himself to be a friend of Dante Lewis.
And when he took the stand, he said that Dante Lucas told him that they're never going to find Kelsey Schelling's body. That just took the whole room's breath away.
Ryan Rivera, he was the only person who came forward over the duration of this trial that really said, Dante told me he did this.
I wasn't in the courtroom, but well, jailhouse snitch on its face is just not credible. I mean, that's the assumption that we believe jurors have, and it's the assumption we have as defense lawyers. Why would this person do it? What's the benefit? What's the motive?
There was no deals made about charges he would get to plead to, time he would get to serve. There was no deals like that.
There were a lot of names on the prosecutor's list that I was shocked by, but Sarah Lucas certainly topped that list.
When you saw that Sarah Lucas was on the prosecution side, everyone wondered, what is she gonna say?
The one important thing that I've kind of mentioned, she confirmed that Dante was the last person left alone with Kelsey.
The prosecution painted a picture of a troubled relationship.
Some of Kelsey's close friends testified. They pointed toward elements of domestic abuse in Kelsey and Dante's relationship.
Something worth pointing out was the prosecution and even the defense made it clear that Dante was using Kelsey for a number of things. For her money, Dante used Kelsey for her apartment in Denver, and Dante used Kelsey for her car. And his argument was, she lets me do it. The defense pushed the narrative that Kelsey Schelling popped pills, was an addict, that Kelsey, when she left Dante Lucas at the Southside Walmart here in Pueblo, that she was going to meet up with a drug dealer.
There's no single person, other than the defendant in 2017, who's saying that she was into drugs and that she was a party girl.
You didn't have the forensic evidence. It seemed like you were really relying on circumstantial evidence and the evidence of snitches and these other witnesses. That's pretty straightforward. Either you believe them or you don't.
The witness list yields more surprises. The ones who make it to court.
I know that my testimony could potentially help take him down.
And the ones who didn't.
Witness 31-year-old Roxanne Martinez was found shot to death.
That was a completely unforeseen development in this case.
Breaking on Denver 7, a key witness in the Kelsey Schelling murder trial found dead.
That witness, 31-year-old Roxanne Martinez, was found shot to death in Denver last week.
These are still very stunning developments.
Roxanne Martinez, a witness for the prosecution, was set to testify soon.
That was just an absolutely, completely unforeseen development in this case. People were reeling when that news broke.
Denver police officers were called to a residential area in southeast Denver on a report of an unresponsive female who was lying in the roadway. We determined that that individual had been shot one time and died from that injury.
Her dad is in shock, her mom, her stepmom. It's just tragic all the way around.
I think when a witness in any major case turns up dead directly before they're set to testify, I think, of course, people are going to think, was she killed because she was going to testify?
Denver police arrested a suspect in Martinez's killing, 29-year-old Emmanuel Chandler. Chandler has been charged with first-degree murder, but he hasn't entered a plea yet.
We don't have any connection between Mr. Chandler and Mr. Lucas or anybody associated with that trial.
Our concern was to make sure that people understood that while she was an endorsed witness, I couldn't comment on her testimony.
Nobody knows what Roxanne Martinez was going to say on the stand for sure, with the exception of maybe the investigators who talked to her.
But while prosecutors say they can't discuss what Roxanne Martinez would have said on the stand, 2020 has uncovered some revealing details about her. You see, back in March of 2016, a woman named Roxanne had reached out to Laura Saxton through that Help Find Kelsey Facebook page. Roxanne messaged that she used to date the guy Kelsey was pregnant with, and he told me what had happened and started crying.
I'm instantly like mixed emotions, like, okay, are you going for the reward, or, you know, are you for real?
When Laura asked, do you know where Kelsey is located? Roxanne replied, He told me everything. Yes, I do.
Basically, her information sounded very good and very promising, and so we really wanted to meet with her.
This mysterious woman agreed to meet Laura and her husband at a Mexican restaurant in Denver.
We were actually on our way there, and I tried to reach her by phone to let her know we were coming. She said that she was in the hospital and couldn't meet us. That was kind of the extent of what I really remember. And then, past that, then, that was all turned over to law enforcement to look into further.
Authorities say that woman was the same Roxanne who was killed during the trial.
I can confirm that CBI followed up and interviewed her, that we did have her as an endorsed witness that we wanted to testify during trial. The thing that I'm steering clear from is I just don't want to talk about evidence that wasn't actually admitted during trial.
Martinez's killing shakes up the trial and threatens to overshadow the testimony of another prosecution witness who had a remarkable story to tell. It's none other than Lauren Shore, that woman who befriended Dante as part of a plan to try to find out what happened to Kelsey.
I know that my testimony could potentially help take him down, and that was realistically why I wanted to testify.
Shore testifies about Dante's critical admission to her, that he was the mysterious figure seen picking up Kelsey's car after it sat overnight in a Walmart parking lot.
I said, so that must have meant that you had dropped the car off at the hospital, correct? And that's when he said, yes, that was him that dropped the car off.
When the defense cross-examined Shore, they attack her credibility and her motives, at one point characterizing her as a sex informant because she had a physical relationship with Dante.
It's fair game, and if you're going to put yourself out there like she did and sleep with someone, the jury ought to know about that. You're having intimate conversations, and that cast a lot of suspicion on her as a witness.
The sex informant part really bothered me because I wasn't having sex with Dante to get answers out of him. I was playing my part and role as girlfriend. So to me, to be called such was really degrading.
On the very last day of its case, the prosecution played an interrogation video of Dante confirming Shore's account.
The clip that I played at the beginning of my closing was his phrase to detectives, "I lied from the jump. I moved the car." I wanted the jury to hear the defendant, in his own words, say, "I lied."
When it's the defense's turn to present its case, they raise a lot of eyebrows in court.
The defense didn't call a single witness to the stand. The defense immediately rested their case. And it was just another moment where your jaw hit the floor.
The burden of proof is on the government. It's simply messaging in a very strong way to the jury, they haven't done it. It's not guilty. So it's a strong message.
There was just really not a lot of hard forensic evidence to go off of. So as far as, what evidence they put forth to court that was irrefutable, that Dante Lucas killed Kelsey Schelling, I never saw that.
After a shocking final day of the trial, the jury was going to deliberate, and I had no idea what was going to happen at that point.
I think everybody was just like holding their breath.
Prosecution and defense have given closing arguments. The jury is now deliberating.
Well, on that last day of the trial, no one expected to get a verdict that day.
So now the waiting begins.
Yes. And I was prepared to camp out at the courthouse as long as I had to. I really thought I would be there all week, and we're really totally unprepared for when they came and told us the verdict was in. I think we all were just like, oh my God.
I mean, it was shocking how quickly they arrived at their decision, especially given just the amount of information they had to look at.
I can tell you, because the decision came back so early, all of our experience as prosecutors is that this was probably an acquittal, because juries tend to come to decisions more quickly on acquittals than convictions.
It was like standing on the precipice of a cliff and looking down. It was scary.
It was a very tense atmosphere in the courthouse while everyone was waiting to hear what the verdict was.
Even I was nervous, and I'm not affiliated with Kelsey Schelling's family at all.
People were wondering, does that mean Dante Lucas is going to walk?
I think everybody was just like holding their breath almost.
And then, when you hear the verdict, tell me how you're feeling.
Well, the words came out way too slow. Like, I feel like the judge was talking in slow-mo, even though he wasn't. I mean, I was just like, every word, it's like, okay, spit it out, please. And then he finally got to, you know, guilty of first degree, and I think that was the first breath, like, I had taken in a long time.
This is a guilty verdict, 8 years in the
Bad situation that didn't have to end up like this if he had just let her come home.
You mentioned it was a lot of emotions for both sides. Did you find yourself looking over at their side?
Dante was sitting right in front of me. I looked at the back of his head through the whole trial. But, you know, the mother of his child was there, and she broke down, and honestly, my heart hurt for her, hurt for their child, because it didn't have to end up this way.
Ryan Rivera's testimony was the biggest bombshell for our trial. It had moved us all. I could hear the gasps even in the masks of fellow jurors.
When it came out that he was convicted, I think there was a great feeling of satisfaction and relief, not elation. You know, you have to look at it from this side too. Mr. Lucas is a young man, and he was convicted of a criminal crime that shapes his life for however long he lives. I think it's every parent's worst nightmare that a child goes before you, and you can never fully heal that wound. I can tell you, I almost lost a child in the early 80s. And so I had a lot of sympathy with Laura and her family because I came that close to that tragedy. And that child was the lead prosecutor on this case.
So the elected DA is my dad, and Kyle McCarthy, who was obviously on the case with me, is my husband. And we, I don't think, had a night in the last 4 years that we haven't gone home and talked about Kelsey Schelling. Sometimes it's the first thing we talk about when we wake up. Sometimes it's the last thing we talk about before we go to sleep.
On Saturdays when we're driving kids around to soccer, a lot of times we're being told to stop talking about it because they can hear us in the front seat talking about it.
We both also had, and I mean, an incredible emotional pull to the family. That is a very special relationship, one that I will value for the rest of my life.
Well, I think, I mean, Michelle and Kyle with their closing, they're amazing. I don't even know what other words to use.
The first things that she told the reporters outside of the courthouse after the guilty verdict, yes, she was happy, but she was still devastated.
So we're very, very thankful for this outcome. But in the end, I didn't get Kelsey back. And that's what I wanted more than anything. So I feel like I didn't do something, I didn't push hard enough on something, or I didn't look enough on something to bring her home.
That devastation isn't going anywhere. Like she said, she has to live with that forever.
Her goal throughout all of this was to bring Kelsey home, give her a proper burial. So I know she had expressed that in some ways she felt like she had failed in her main mission.
I think the investigative team has some ideas where she may rest.
If that's where she is, that's just like the worst possibility to me.
That very first day that we met in September of 2016. I'll never forget it like it was yesterday, and it was just a special bond that we formed.
Kelsey's mom just battled and battled and battled.
8 years, I was hoping that it would never take this long.
I grabbed my mother very tight and held her very close. I was holding on to my dad's hands.
Since the trial's over, it's because, and Kelsey still hasn't been found, so but yeah, I've just felt very empty this past week.
Doesn't feel final because we still don't know where Kelsey is and we still don't know exactly what happened.
It turns out that prosecutors did present troubling evidence from the night Kelsey disappeared. That evidence provided a possible explanation to where her body could be.
We received information from the Pueblo landfill that there was some video evidence of a vehicle being there. You couldn't see what kind of vehicle. You couldn't tell who was in the car. Their lock to their front gate into the dump had been tampered with.
Well, it caught my attention when I grabbed the lock on my hand, and I said, well, somebody tried to get in here overnight.
The cell phone records, the pings were all out in that area. So, we suspected that's what happened.
If you heard the testimony of the landfill expert, it would be next to impossible to just find a body just by conducting a search of the landfill.
Who wants that for their child to be the final resting place? No one.
We want to bring her justice and bring her home with us, her and Kadri both. Kadri, that was the name that she was going to give the child.
I'm never going to recover without getting her back. And so I still have nowhere to go to take her flowers, to go sit and talk with her, take her balloons on her birthday, go to see her on the holidays. Hi, Cal. Hi, Cocoa Bean.
How do you want her to be remembered?
A little girl with a really big heart, a really big smile, a really big laugh, beautiful eyes, silly. She was so silly. I miss being silly with her. I miss all the things that we didn't get to do together.
So in broad daylight, a man is shot dead in his place of business on a busy street.
I knew as soon as I saw it. I knew he was gone.
Just 2 blocks behind me, Bob Eidman was found robbed and murdered.
Bob Eidman was shot 3 times. That third shot is being an execution.
I just all the way there saying, no, no, Bob.
There were just floods and floods of police cars coming in and just total chaos.
We're with the Major Case Squad.
They only have 5 days, so the clock is ticking.
Diane found out on the site that her husband had been murdered.
Yes, she did.
She makes this statement, something like this has happened before.
There were numerous individuals who could have done something such as this.
He asked me a question that just kind of floored me. He said, we're trying to find out about your brother's lifestyle. What is it like to all of a sudden learn that there's this whole other secret part of his life?
People are going to find out some stuff they're probably not going to like.
June 8th, 2007 was a typical day in St. Charles. It was a sunny day, and I was proceeding southwest here on First Capitol Drive.
So it was about to break 80 degrees on this Friday morning around 11 a.m. And as Officer Dean Meyer's patrol car is making its way toward Interstate 70, a mail carrier was on her rounds too. This security video showing her dropping off mail at a strip mall grocery store, then driving her truck a few doors down to enter the office where Bob Eidman sold car insurance. Nobody heard her first scream.
Our mail carrier was running up the street and she was flailing her arms and she was yelling for the police.
Deborah Kennedy was the first person to hear those desperate cries and tried to catch up with her as the mail carrier ran into traffic on the busy road before Officer Meyer spotted her.
I saw the mail carrier running up the hill with the phone in her hand.
Stop, please stop. There's a man. I'm delivering the mail right now. He's lying on the floor with blood all over him.
I asked what's going on, and she said Bob was laying on the floor and he had blood on his face.
And she tries to investigate what's going on. She goes into Bob's office and gets the shock of her life.
I went inside to see if I could help him. And when I walked in, there was plenty of blood. I watched his chest didn't move. I knew as soon as I saw it. I knew he was gone. Let me breathe for a second.
It was St. Charles's first murder of 2007. And right from the start, it was the kind of thing that just isn't supposed to happen here. That's because St. Charles, Missouri is an idyllic bedroom community. It's just over the bridge from St. Louis with a historic downtown and historic values as well. I guess the idea is that you're supposed to shed the stress of the big city as you come across the wide Missouri River and land here. But as we know, money woes, lies and rage and desperation, the grip of fear, they do not stop at the river's edge.
Now we've got a whole team of officers from the St. Charles Police Department. They've converged on the scene of Bob Eidman's murder.
There were just, floods and floods of police cars coming in and just total chaos.
Immediately I responded to the area, to the scene. Bob is laying on the floor between the two desks. He's laying on his back, and there's a pool of blood around his head.
Bob Eidman was shot 3 times. The first shot was superficial. It was a grazing wound to his chin. The second shot was to his neck, shoulder area, which knocked him down.
According to St. Charles homicide detective Don Stepp, the third and fatal shot had been fired through Bob Eidman's left eye as the assailant stood over his prone body.
I would definitely classify that third shot as being an execution.
This was an insurance office, and it was a fairly open area. We collected bullet casings, bullets, bullet fragments. We would mark the position, set up little yellow tents called photo markers. We would photograph it. We dusted for fingerprints. You're hoping that maybe you will find one fingerprint that may lead to a particular suspect.
Police are seeking out anyone who might have spotted something that morning in Bob's office. With her office directly below Bob's, Deborah Kennedy didn't see anyone, but she might have heard something.
I think it was probably around 10:30 or 11 o'clock. A friend of mine had come in. I heard a couple noises, and we both kind of looked at each other, and then I heard a big thud on my ceiling. And we're kind of like, what the heck, is Bob doing up there? And so, being the way I am, I yelled up through the rafters, hey, Bob, keep it down. I'm trying to work down here.
We came to the conclusion that those loud bangs that she heard was the gunshots in Bob's office.
Police quickly worked to gather information about the victim. His name is Bob Eidman. He's 48 years old. He was married for a very long time, had no children, and worked in the insurance industry.
But just recently, like the past 2 years, had just started this new company. He'd got like a franchise. He just started that on his own.
As news begins to spread that something bad has happened at Bob's office, concerned friends and associates in the insurance business, they rush to the site, like the longtime colleague who asked that we call her Dana.
What made you want to go over there?
That's my friend. I wanted to make sure he was okay. I remember locking up my office. I had a client in there, and she saw how distraught I was. And I'm just in the car, just all the way there saying, no, Bob.
What happened when you got there?
Of course, they're spectators, so someone said that someone got shot. Didn't see Bob, didn't see him waving in the window, didn't see any sign of him at all. And then when they took his body out of the office, we knew it was Bob's body because he was a big guy.
What's that moment like?
Oh my goodness. It was the worst.
Local reporters have arrived on the scene as well. Those reporters notice that a woman pulls up, and it turns out that she is the now widow of Robert Eidman. Her name is Diane, and Diane approaches the reporters, asking them if they know what's happening. And the reporters are saying that they feel uncomfortable telling her about her husband, so they direct her to the police.
But Diane said that she hadn't heard from Bob all day, which was odd, and she kept trying to call him, and he never answered the office phone. So when she shows up and seen all the police cars, she knew something had happened, and she identified herself.
Diane found out on the site, didn't she, that her husband had been murdered?
Yes, she did.
As investigators comb the area looking for video of any potential suspects, they happen upon this grocery store just a few doors down from Bob Eidman's office. Inside, they take note of the security camera that captured the mail carrier earlier that morning. It was right about there, pointed directly towards the front door. Once they get a look at the video it recorded, it's the first big break in the case.
Police believe Eidman was working alone when someone walked inside his business, fatally shot him, then took off.
Insurance agent Bob Eidman is dead, shot to death in his office along a busy thoroughfare near the interstate in St. Charles, Missouri.
We are west of the city of St. Louis, which most people kind of relate that to the Arch.
They are just separated by a river, so just hop on the bridge and you're in St. Charles.
And like this town's famous Christmas tradition celebration and their lively Oktoberfest, murder comes but once a year.
St. Charles averages about 1.5 homicides a year.
It's a pretty peaceful community, and people look out for each other.
A cold-blooded murder is not something St. Charles is known for, and the local cops will probably need some help with what looks like a big investigation. So they appeal to a special group for help.
A request was made to notify the Major Case Squad.
And they contact other departments that are in our area, and they send detectives that assist us.
More than 30 detectives with the Major Case Squad are now looking for his killer.
This elite Major Case Squad has a very high rate of success. 80% of their cases are solved. But with all this manpower, there's one catch. They only have 5 days to get the job done. So the clock is ticking.
They're coming from all other agencies. At some point, they need to get back to theirs.
The police canvassed First Capital right there in front of the shop.
How you doing?
Hi, what's up?
We're with the Major Case Squad, and we're investigating a homicide that happened here Friday afternoon.
Asking, did you notice something on June 7th?
And then you can see in the distance those apartment houses. You talked to all the people who lived in those apartment houses too, didn't you?
Every door was knocked on multiple times until we got contact.
And could one part of Bob Eidman's line of work have put him in jeopardy?
Robert Eidman's specialty in the insurance company was dealing with high-risk drivers, individuals that could not get insurance through traditional places, people that had prior traffic violations.
He wasn't taking checks because apparently those had been bounced, and this is back in the day when checks were a thing.
But his good friend and insurance colleague Dana, she felt Bob was taking too great a risk with the form of payment he did take.
So he would accept cash against a lot of people who advised him not to take cash.
Though he was known for accepting cash, he doesn't have a safe. Instead, police learned Bob would put the cash he received from clients into a far less secure place.
There was a drawer in Bob's desk that was locked, and you'd have to use a screwdriver to manipulate the lock to be able to open it.
When police managed to open the drawer and they checked the cash box, oh, there's money inside, about $200.
There was no forced entry, but it could have absolutely been a robbery. I know one of the things they were looking for was Bob's wallet missing.
And you're looking for anywhere that somebody might have thrown something, like Bob Eidman's wallet.
From the top of the roof, all through the grass, ditches, sewers, everywhere. We could not find the wallet. The wallet's going to be 90% of the time in a man's back pocket.
And to get that wallet out, you would have had to struggle between the wallet and the inside of the pants, which caused some friction. I recommended that we cut the pants pockets out and send them to the crime lab. We just thought maybe a sample of skin cells could be found inside Bob's pocket.
When we touch something or brush up against something, some of our DNA is transferred to the other object. If they're located, those skin cells can be broken down into DNA.
So you were checking for DNA everywhere else, but this was just kind of out of the blue. You just thought, well, you know, we might as well give this a try.
Yes, sir. It was the first time that I'd ever heard of anybody's pants pockets getting cut out.
While one team is feverishly working to gather physical evidence, another team is talking to anyone they can find, talking to family, friends, anything that will help them glean information about Bob Eidman.
Bob was a big teddy bear. He was friendly, he was bubbly. He called me Wild Woman. I think it has something to do with my hair. It grew on me.
Bob was a funny little guy, and I say little meaning that I think he was probably about 5'4", 5'6".
If we were going to say what size personality he had, like small to large, where would you put him on the scale there, Pam?
I'd say extra large.
His persona was just so, hey, you guys see me? I'm here.
How would you describe his relationship to authority growing up?
Not good. He defied authority with regularity. He had to go to summer school every summer. In fact, my parents tried to bribe him and said, hey, if you can graduate from high school in 4 years, we'll give you a car. He's like, show me the car first.
We were in high school together. Bob was pretty forward. He liked to talk to the ladies and hang out and visit. Then he met Diane, and he fell in love with her, and they were real close.
I believe Diane and Bobby made a fantastic couple. I really liked Diane. She'd put Bobby in his place. Bobby say something smart, she'd say something smart right back at him.
She was taller than him. I don't think it really mattered to him at all.
He ended up getting some lifts, so he felt like he was as tall as his wife.
Bob and Diane had been married for 20 plus years. They did not have any children.
So instead, his office featured photos of the muscle cars that he loved, while under his desk, he kept a copy of the Dreamgirls CD. He finally got to be his own boss, but there were great challenges, weren't there?
Yeah, he started talking like, well, the business isn't doing so good. I haven't had that many people come in.
He kept saying, you know, if I don't make this in the next couple months, I'm not sure.
I might go under.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it.
Think about all that financial stress. At least one person thinks it was taking a terrible toll.
I thought he committed suicide.
You thought he was so despondent that he might have taken his own life.
I did.
Remember that video camera in the grocery store next to Bob's, pointing toward the street in front? Police have been poring over the footage, and now they may have found something of interest. There, that white car.
At 10:50 a.m., you see the vehicle drive past the front doors, and 4 minutes later, you see it drive past the front doors, I believe a little slower, and almost like creeping along looking for something.
Was this driver making sure the coast was clear?
It wasn't the greatest picture, I remember that. It's always frustrating when you can't identify the people inside the vehicle.
One thing we can tell is a white four-door vehicle. Luckily,
I'm impressed you can tell it's a four-door vehicle. It looks like a white car. But it turned out the small St. Charles Police Department had a car maven.
we have an individual at the time that could almost identify almost any type of vehicle. He was a big car guy. He said it was a Ford Focus.
Like, I like cars, but honestly, wow.
We're kind of looking at this several different ways. Is he having problems with a customer with a white Ford Focus?
The bad news is that in St. Charles County, there are 1,300 Ford Focuses. In the state of Missouri, there are 5,000.
5,000 is a big number to have to deal with.
But they're not finding anything suspicious until a gift-wrapped lead suddenly falls into their lap. A white car is crashed and abandoned nearby. And get this about the driver.
He had bloody clothing on. Why has he got Bob's business card? I hope this is it.
A mail carrier found Eidman's body shot several times inside his Brook Auto Insurance agency at about 12:30 Friday afternoon.
So in broad daylight, a man is shot dead in his place of business on a busy street. I'm sure it did strike fear.
I don't understand why somebody would kill somebody right here.
It was such a senseless killing that nobody really understood what was going on.
I didn't want to go back to work the next morning. I wanted to get the heck out of Dodge. I wanted to get out of town.
Police here in St. Charles, Missouri still had no motive, no witnesses, and no way to quell the rising fear of the St. Charles community. Fear and anxiety that grew even more after 3 men broke into a bowling alley, took $700, and tied up the janitor in the process.
2 men wearing masks and carrying guns rob a St. Charles bowling alley.
Well, here is proof they had a gun, a bullet hole left in the office window. They busted in through the back door, shot up the office, tried to shoot open a safe.
Geographically, it was just down the street from Brooks Insurance.
And it was a bowling alley that we all bowled at, so at first we all thought it was tied together.
So people wondered if there was a connection between the 2 robberies.
And we looked at that, seeing if they were connected. And in the course of that investigation, we were able to eliminate it from being a part of this case.
Police are knee-deep in Bob Eidman's murder investigation, and they come upon a really interesting scene. It's an abandoned, crashed white car. And when they track down the owner, well, there's a couple of really eye-popping pieces of information.
He had bloody clothing on, and he also had one of Robert Eidman's business cards. Why does he have bloody clothing? Is it his blood? Is it Bob's blood? We have some questions we need answered. This could be it.
It blew my mind, like, whoa.
Travis Wade Ensley is about to blow a lot of minds at police headquarters, where leads in Bob Eidman's murder have been hard to come by.
The car that I wrecked was a white 4-door Saturn.
Which might have looked like the car that was captured on the footage.
The next thing I know, I'm at St. Charles Police Station getting questioned for murder.
Police now feel that he has a lot of explaining to do. So as Travis recalls, his story goes kind of something like this.
I needed new insurance on my car. My buddy's like, check this guy out, and called him up, gave me good rates. And then like a week later, I had been out, had a couple drinks. Okay. I wound up wrecking my car right by my apartment. My airbags deployed and it knocked the sense out of me, and I like staggered down the hill, like right to my apartment, didn't remember nothing.
Okay.
Next day I woke up, I walk out my door, my car's not there.
So Travis calls police to report his car as stolen, but then is stunned to suddenly find himself a potential person of interest in a murder.
I was scared to death.
They were coming at you.
Yeah, they were coming at me pretty good.
Travis has what seems like a likely story about why there's blood on a shirt. He said that when he crashed his car, he got a bloody nose. Cops will check out his story, so they're not quite ready to clear him.
And they went and looked into certain, my alibi and this and that. They're like, okay, yeah, he's not the guy.
Now, police turn their attention closer to home, to Bob Eidman's widow, Diane. It is quite routine for police to look at the spouse of someone who's been murdered.
When Bob's wife, Diane, was advised that Bob had been murdered in his office, she didn't have a great reaction.
While Diane does appear to be upset in this photo, some detectives at the scene felt she was not overly emotional.
I don't want to say it didn't seem like a surprise to her, but she wasn't reacting in a manner that I thought a wife would react when they found out their husband was shot.
That struck me, and I'm sure several detectives, as unusual.
Is she in shock? Is she in denial? Is she involved in this?
Then there's Detective Stephanie Kaiser. Already a veteran sex crimes investigator, Kaiser was respected for her sensitivity and understanding with victims.
That would be completely normal in a shock situation like that. There is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all when you're talking about trauma, because to be able to process that would take some time. They're moving slow, they can't think, so I make nothing of that behavior.
Now Detective Kaiser is about to become the St. Charles Police Department's Diane Whisperer.
Diane Eidman became my lead.
Right.
We were assigned to take her from, sadly, the scene.
Diane wants to go to Bob's parents' home so that she can break the terrible news to them. And during that ride, Diane talks about how she is the manager of the kitchen at the local hospital, and she also offers more information about her beloved husband.
She says that there was financial problems.
When you say financial problems, what do you mean?
I mean, they were having a tough time paying bills. According to Diane, there wasn't much cash coming in. The business itself was struggling.
Detective Kaiser continues talking with Diane, and she makes a note that Diane seems incredibly forgetful. She can't remember her own Social Security number. And then the detective asks her about any existing insurance policies.
She was upfront that, yes, I have a life insurance policy through work.
Diane initially gave us an answer that she thought they had a couple of small policies, approximately $5,000.
Not much, right?
Not much.
So Diane was pretty direct with me. I think she'd had a lot of questions asked of her and then just kind of tells me boldly, I did not do this.
These conversations with Diane will shape and reshape the police investigation into Bob Eidman's murder. At the end of that first day, Diane sounds like every other resident of St. Charles. She is terribly afraid.
It's just dawning on her, wait, I'm not safe either. I have to act and get her extra patrol, and I did. But you have to still go where the evidence leads.
And no one knows yet where that evidence will lead, especially in the wake of the very first astonishing story that Diane Eidman tells Detective Kaiser, with words that will be ringing in lots of heads at police headquarters.
One of the first things she says is, don't take this as a confession or anything, but this happened to my dad too. Has her father been murdered and her husband murdered as well? Has lightning struck this woman twice?
She makes this statement, don't take this as a confession, but something like this has happened before. And I'm not quoting Diane at this point, but somebody broke into the house and shot my dad. So when I asked, did they catch the person?
How did she answer that question?
She said, they thought my mom shot my dad.
And we're wondering if lightning had struck twice in the same place.
Diane Bowling Eidman, seen here on her wedding day in 1978 with her father Jerome, was just 26 years old when he was murdered inside the home he shared with his wife Lenore, Diane's mother. The murder case that made headlines in this region all began when a call came through in the wee hours on the morning of April 6, 1984. Gordon Adams was an officer with the St. Louis County PD.
What went out over the radio when you heard the call?
As I recall, like I say, it came out as a home invasion with someone shot. And so that's what we would consider a hot call. Well, when I arrived, it's 2:30 in the morning, maybe 2:35. So it's dark as can be. I immediately went to the door, knocked on the door, and Lenore answered. And the hair is pristine, and she's standing there in a kind of sheer nightgown. And she says, my husband needs help. He's in the bedroom. He's been shot.
What are you thinking when you're hearing this story for the first time?
I mean, she didn't strike you as a woman who woke up in the middle of the night to find her husband murdered. No tears. The hair was all done. And I'm trying to get information for my report. And she actually lit up a cigarette. I'm thinking, this is your husband. He's just been murdered. She didn't have any emotion at all, almost.
David Barron was a detective with the St. Louis County Police assigned to the case.
So Lenore Bowling was asserting that an intruder had come into the house, somehow found her husband's service revolver, used that service revolver to kill him, and then left.
That's what she was saying.
How did that strike you as a plausible story, given your years of experience in law enforcement?
It was an improbable set of circumstances. And to throw into that, the garage door was open about a foot.
Okay, that garage door over
That's
there
correct.
was open a foot.
And the inside garage door, leading it from the garage into the house, is the only door in the house that did not have a deadbolt.
Diane's mother had told police she believed she was being stalked in the days prior to the shooting by a black male driving a black car who'd been leaving notes at their home. And there was a note found at the crime scene.
Well, the last note that was found at the scene said, "This is for you, pig, for what you did to me." No, I made a canvas later on in the neighborhood. No one saw a black male in a black car dressed in all black.
Lenore Bowling was charged with the murder of her husband. She pled not guilty, and while she was awaiting trial, she moved in with Bob and Diane.
How did Bob feel about living with someone who was accused of shooting her husband to death? Bob was not happy about that.
He was scared.
Yeah,
He would
he
go
was
to bed
very-
every
he was very
night and
scared.
say he would bolt his door, lock it closed. He did not, he was afraid. He didn't want to be in the house with her.
After that fateful night, this saga ending here in the fall of 1985. Diane Eidman's mother, Lenore Bowling, on trial for capital murder in the death of her husband, Diane's father, Jerome Bowling. Lenore Bowling found not guilty of her husband's murder.
They did not believe that she did it. They believed her story.
The irony not lost on investigators as Diane Eidman, more than 20 years later, now a person of interest in a different killing.
Has her father been murdered and her husband murdered as well? What a weird set of circumstances.
But it was something else Diane Eidman told investigators about her own husband that they said gave them pause.
During Diane's initial interview, she was asked if there was any insurance policies. Diane said that she thought there was one policy, and she thought it was just a small policy, approximately $5,000.
She describes that she has a life insurance policy through work. She's not sure about the details on that.
I was contacted by an insurance company and told that there was additional policies for Robert Eidman that we were not made aware of that were quite substantial in size.
Now with Bob's death, police say she was suddenly in line to receive more than $300,000 in life insurance.
We did not know if Diane had forgotten to tell us about those policies. Did Diane know about those policies?
And as they start looking deeper into Bob Eidman, they make a mind-blowing discovery. This man was leading a double life.
And then the commander of the major case squad asked me a question that just kind of floored me. I had no idea.
I went to Bob's funeral, and it was sad to see him there. I didn't expect to go see my friend in a casket, and I felt horrible for his wife and his family.
Bob's older brother by 21 months. Glenn Eidman grew up as a straight-A student, and he was a frequent target of Bob's verbal barbs.
How did he feel about you being a policeman? He made fun of me a lot. He did not like that. Wasn't big on police. He got in trouble growing up.
Glenn always believed that Bob was his mother's favorite. Even so, he said he was not prepared for what he says she asked him to do as they attended Bob's funeral.
At his funeral, my mom, she was confined to a wheelchair. She was in very poor health. So she goes, how could somebody do this to my boy? I said, Mom, I don't know. I don't know why. She goes, well, I want you to find those people. I want you to kill them. And I said, that's not how this works. You know, I'm a police officer. I can't do something like that. But she was very devastated. And literally 3 months after his death, she died.
She just lost her will to live.
It was kind of a rough year, for sure.
I went up to the funeral and seen Diane as she was broken up, but I didn't ask a lot of questions.
She never really said a whole lot. She really didn't say a lot about anything. She was pretty quiet.
I was just watching Diane and just grieving with her. And I noticed there was a large police presence. And I just thought that was odd for a funeral. But if they suspect the murderers to be there, then they were there for a reason.
At the time of Robert Eidman's funeral, we set up surveillance and we recorded video of the attendees at the funeral, as well as obtaining the guest book for the services.
Police check out every name on the funeral registry. It takes them nowhere. Meanwhile, it's day 4 of the Major Crimes Task Force investigation. The clock is ticking, but still no good leads on who killed Bob Eidman.
We were striking out. There was no one that could really come up and say, Bob's having a problem with anyone.
But then the Major Case Squad does a deep dive into Bob's email, his phone and computer records. They're searching for any hidden clues. They make a discovery they're eager to know a lot more about, just as Glenn comes in for his interview.
You know, they put me in an interview room to ask me some questions. I said, you know, I have nothing to hide. You don't have to play these games. You know, ask me whatever you want. And he asked me a question that just kind of floored me. He said, we're trying to find out about your brother's alternative lifestyle. I said, what alternative? He goes, his affairs. You know, I go, you think he's out picking up women? I mean, that just ain't happening. And he's like, your brother was gay. I had no idea.
We had no idea.
We did not know that.
Turns out this long-married insurance agent was leading a secret double life.
While we were analyzing Bob's computers and it was discovered that he was visiting male-on-male websites were sexual in nature, and he was making contact with some of these places. Sometimes in these murder investigations, as we dig into them, you find a lot about a person's life, their lifestyle.
When you have a secret, what vulnerability does that give someone like Bob Eidman?
Anytime somebody has a secret and somebody knows it, and you're keeping it a secret for a reason, people can use that as leverage to get their way if they want to blackmail you or extort you.
As investigators continue searching through Bob's phone records, they find something else noteworthy. One phone number keeps popping up, belonging to a man from out of town.
They had an intimate relationship. They would rent a hotel room somewhere and visit each other. Automatically, a flag gets raised.
What is it like to all of a sudden learn that there's this whole other secret part of his life that you knew nothing about? It was upsetting. I guess I felt he should have been able to talk to somebody about that. He shouldn't have had to hide that life. He shouldn't have had to lie. Having a relationship and being gay that's just part of life. And I wish he would have been able to share that with us.
How you doing?
Police bring in this secret lover for questioning. They can't help but wonder, would this man have a reason to murder Bob? And what about Diane? Could his existence have set her into a murderous rage?
We've altered the man's voice.
People are going to find out some stuff they're probably not going to like.
Feelings can run wild with someone. If I can't have you, nobody's going to have you. It gives people motive.
And as a young, untested detective is taking on his very first big murder case, a totally unexpected assist from the cutting edge of forensic science, it's going to take this investigation into surprising territory and bring answers at last to the key question: why was Bob Eidman killed?
It blew my mind when the results came back. It was the golden ticket. This is what we were looking for.
Two blocks behind me, Bob Eidman was found robbed and murdered. Diane found out on the site that her husband had been murdered.
Yes, she did.
She makes this statement, something like this has happened before. Somebody broke into the house and shot my dad.
It absolutely crossed everybody's mind that this was kind of a copycat murder.
I've told her, hey, your husband's been killed. Your marriage is about to be put under a spotlight.
We discovered that Bob was having an affair.
She had found out that he was having an affair with another man, and that she was very angry about that.
They'd had an argument about that.
Diane was asking, are you telling me my husband's gay?
This is one of those bizarre cases where all the evidence seems to be pointing in one direction, then suddenly the rug is pulled out from under you, stunning everyone.
I was very shocked.
We cut open the pocket, swabbed the edges, hoping to get possible DNA. And the next day, State gave me the name.
I was sitting in the same room with the person that shot and killed my brother.
Friends and family are mourning the loss of Bob Eidman, gunned down in his office in a small strip mall in St. Charles, Missouri.
A man that loved life, always wanted to have fun, always wanted to enjoy himself. He had a great personality, very funny, you know, very intelligent.
You know, he seemed like a nice guy, but after you got to know him a bit, that's when the Bobby came out. I mean, he was extremely comical. He'd make me laugh so hard. I mean, it would hurt.
He liked to have fun. He loved muscle cars. And as far as in the office, you heard him. He was a loud guy. He was one of those guys that when he got on the phone, you kind of put your earplugs in because he was pretty loud. Larger than life, he was.
I could depend on him when I was not in a great place. He would talk and he made sense.
Now Bob Eidman was dead, and nothing made sense. It was a little before 11 a.m. on June 8th when a mail carrier discovered Bob's lifeless body on the floor of his office.
Stop, please, stop. There's a man, I'm delivering the mail right now. He's lying on the floor with blood all over him.
Bob Eidman was shot 3 times.
There was no forced entry or anything. He was a business that was open for business, but it could have absolutely been a robbery.
Robert Eidman's specialty in the insurance company was dealing with high-risk drivers, individuals that could not get insurance through traditional places.
So he would accept cash against a lot of people who didn't take cash and advised them not to take cash.
This is a huge murder case in a very small town. And with more questions than answers, St. Charles PD needs help, and boy, do they get it. Enter the elite major case squad.
20 to 30 detectives will respond, and the only thing they will work on for the next 5 days is that situation they've been called out on.
The investigation into Bob Eidman's murder is all hands on deck.
One of the things that we were not able to recover or locate was Robert Eidman's wallet.
Bob's wife Diane said he always carried his wallet in his back pocket. Police are desperate for leads, so they're going to try something unconventional. They cut the back pockets out of Eidman's pants to send for something they call touch DNA testing.
We just thought maybe a sample of skin cells could be found inside Bob's pocket.
It's a newer technology and it's a long shot. Police, meanwhile, canvass the neighborhood where the crime occurred. They're knocking on doors, they're looking for every clue they can find.
During the area canvass, there's a Mexican grocery store. It's just a couple of doors down. I think it was on the end of this particular strip mall, and they were able to locate some surveillance video.
A white car passing by twice, but the video is grainy.
In that video footage, we saw a Ford Focus. We were not able to get a license plate due to the angle of the camera, and we were not able to see who was in the vehicle.
With lead after lead coming up empty and the clock ticking on that major case squad, Diane Eidman. She remains a subject of, well, we'll call it curiosity. She was, after all, the person closest to Bob.
It is quite routine for police to look at the spouse of someone who's been murdered.
Tough questions need to be asked about the state of the Eidmans' marriage.
I took that a step further. Has there been any time that you two argued? Has there been any time that you were unfaithful to him or he was unfaithful to you?
Diane insisted the marriage was fine. But when investigators seize Bob's computers to be analyzed, they make a shocking discovery. Bob's been visiting gay websites online. He's looking for massages and sexual relations.
Bob Eidman had been leading a secret life, and a search of phone records reveals so much more.
We found several calls that were coming in and coming out pretty much the same time each day. We discovered that Bob was having an affair.
A secret relationship with a man who lived more than 3 hours away. Police take a drive to interview him.
He was very forthcoming in the fact that the relationship between him and Bob was an intimate relationship, but very much affectionate and loving. They'd hoped to be together at some point.
It wasn't like a quick fling, kind of out the door kind of thing.
I think that's what it was going to be. But we just became good friends and just kept talking from then on.
He says he never visited Bob in St. Charles, but said the two spoke every day and that he loved Bob. The two would stay in motels closer to his hometown when they got together. During the interview with investigators, he rolled up his right sleeve to reveal a tattoo that he said was for Bob.
While doing the search of his home, we located a box the size of a shoebox, and it had cards from Bob. It had receipts from when they'd go to dinner or go to a hotel. He was saving it.
With such tender and strong feelings for Bob, a handful of scenarios leaped to the mind of law enforcement. Could it have been a jilted lover who murdered Bob Eidman?
Feelings can run wild with someone. If I can't have you, nobody's going to have you. It gives people motive.
In theory, a jilted lover made potential sense to investigators, but the man had an alibi. On the date of the murder, he was at work, hours away from St. Charles.
He was on video, and there were numerous people who said, yes, he was here this day. This is the time he clocked in.
After passing a polygraph, Bob's secret lover is cleared. But it's something he tells investigators about Diane that raises red flags.
He called me. He goes, I got some bad news. I said, what? He said, she read one of my emails. He said that Friday night, he said it was a pretty bad night.
Investigators are now zeroing in on Diane. How angry was she when she discovered Bob's secret life? Angry enough to commit murder?
You never met her before?
No. I've seen her picture.
Would she be angry enough to go in and do that?
I hope not.
Days after Bob Eidman is murdered in his office, police discover the long-married insurance agent had a secret male lover, a man whom he met up with for motel room trysts and who he spoke to every day, a man who was devoted to Bob.
Did you guys love each other, or was it just a very close personal relationship?
I loved it, but I never said it to him.
The secret lover is alibied out for Bob's killing, but in a frank session with police, he says Bob told him that Diane had discovered their relationship, and he says that Bob had told him Diane's reaction had led to a full-blown argument between the two.
he said that, she said, who's, and, so this is, I think he said this is just, a fantasy deal or what have you. It's what Bob said. She asked him if we were sleeping together, and he said no. He said it was pretty rough that night, that Friday night.
It was up to Detective Stephanie Kaiser, the Diane Whisperer, to broach the delicate subject with Bob's widow while interviewing her at the Eidman's home. Kaiser said Diane told her that she'd learned of her husband's relationship with the man after discovering an email between the two, that Bob denied having an affair. But it was the tone of that email which had deeply hurt her feelings.
She describes it as he's telling him intimate things that he hasn't told me. She's telling me I felt hurt because he wasn't speaking to me that way. So they're married.
What do you think she meant when she said that? What kinds of things were they saying to each other?
I didn't ask the specifics, but I'm just talking to her about it. Did this happen? Could this be a motive?
In Detective Kaiser's account, Diane seemed to be struggling a little bit with the nature of her husband's relationship to the man, or what they did during their time together.
When I'm interviewing Diane, one of the things I asked a lot of different things, to the point where Diane was asking me questions like, are you telling me my husband's gay? I asked her, what did Bob tell you? What are your impressions? Her response back was, he told me no. He was going there to meet with him. They worked together, and he needed the stress relief.
Kaiser said Diane told her that when she learned of the relationship after discovering that email, she and Bob discussed it, but they never argued.
I'm telling Diane, Detective Stepp and Detective Grove are talking to him now. He's saying you guys had a loud, angry argument. She said, I don't know that it was loud and angry. Well, that's what he's saying. Diane, what say you? She said, I told him it was over. I told him he was going to end that friendship. But she said, I don't know if I was yelling and screaming. I go, well, that's what he's saying. I'm just asking.
But she laid her foot down. She gave him an
Yes.
ultimatum. You are not to see this guy anymore.
Yes.
As far as you know, did Bob adhere to that ultimatum?
No, he did not.
Diane Eidman finds herself sitting in a polygraph room at the St. Charles Police Department.
So Diane was pretty direct with me. I think she'd had a lot of questions asked of her and then just kind of tells me boldly, I did not do this. I didn't. Diane is just direct.
Diane Eidman voluntarily submitted to a polygraph, and the results came back being inconclusive.
She doesn't pass, but it's inconclusive. So it's just still kind of puts her in that iffy category, if you will.
Adding to investigators' frustration, a day after Diane takes that polygraph test, the clock expires. The major case squad is out of there. 37 officers, 15 different departments had spent more than 2,500 man-hours investigating, with no arrests. A frustrating end to a furious search for answers.
When it goes back to our police department at the time, it is frustrating knowing that you didn't solve this case and it just goes on to an active case file to be looked at as further investigative leads come in.
At that point, I'm assigned the investigation.
The task of solving the murder of Bob Eidman now falls to a junior detective in the department, Don Stepp.
When my sergeant came up and asked if I would like to be assigned this investigation, I was overwhelmed. It's one of those things, am I ready to do this? You don't want to say no, it's an opportunity. I wanted to see this investigation to the end.
Don had contacted me and said, I'm starting from scratch. I'm going to take this entire investigation. I'm going to do everything over again.
What did that feel like to hear?
Well, it was refreshing to, I just felt like there wasn't a lot there.
In 2007, I had only been a detective for 4 years. I was the young guy in the squad.
I had got promoted and I was a police chief at the time, and I didn't want him to feel like there was pressure on him. But he met with me a couple times, and the one time that really struck home is he said, hey, you're like family, and I am going to solve this.
What motivates me to keep going on this investigation is there's someone or someones who had killed Bob Eidman. Bob Eidman needs someone to stand in his corner.
Detective Stepp continues to immerse himself in the details of the case. It had been over a year since Bob Eidman was murdered, when Stepp is at the airport in St. Louis and he spots Diane.
I was off duty, and then I was picking up a family member at the airport, and Diane was walking my direction.
Despite the time that had passed, Diane had never fallen off of Stepp's radar. Diane Eidman knows that you're keeping a close eye on her, doesn't she?
Yes, sir, she does.
How would you characterize the look on her face when she saw you?
Shock. I believe at that point she thought she was going to be arrested.
But the surprise of a chance encounter pales in comparison to the shock investigators get when they receive a call from the crime lab. Remember that pocket police cut out of Bob Eidman's pants to send for DNA analysis?
It blew my mind when the results came back. It was the golden ticket. This is what we were looking for.
It is 2009. And Diane Eidman is spotted at the airport in St. Louis by Detective Don Stepp. How would you characterize the look on her face when she saw you?
Shock.
Stepp documents the incident, later learns that Diane took a trip to Las Vegas, but nothing comes of it.
And if you don't have a suspect right away, then there's things that take time. So things slowed down, but things did not stop.
Face it, there are few, if any, solid leads to pursue, including the identity of that mystery driver whose car was seen on the day of the murder.
They had this famous lead about this car that went around the block, and they had it on video, but there were 22 detectives for 5 days, and they didn't find it.
And there's another lingering piece of evidence still out there. That touch DNA taken from Eidman's back pocket. It was sent to the St. Louis Major Crimes Lab.
Anytime you submitted any kind of DNA information, DNA samples, it was going to be a year or more before you got an answer to it.
Nearly 2 agonizing years after Bob's murder, it's as if this case is frozen in time.
I felt that they were never going to solve the case. I mean, we pray every day. Just, we need peace. We need answers. We need to find out what happened.
It seemed like there were no answers.
No.
Then in March of 2009, that touch DNA from Bob's pocket is forwarded to Brian Crime. He's a forensic scientist with the St. Charles County Police Department.
We were contacted by investigators and asked if we could do the DNA on the case.
With almost every angle of the case having been explored and explored again, it all comes down to what Cry could uncover with the DNA analysis.
If we were going to swab the back pocket of a pair of pants, we would cut open the pocket, swab the edges, hoping to get possible DNA. Once I get a swab, I process it and cut the tip off and put it in an extraction tube, and then we load it onto a genetic analyzer that ultimately produces a DNA profile.
But given the cold case backlog, it takes several more months for the DNA to be processed. And when the results come back, investigators get a major break that heats up this cold case.
I developed an unknown male profile. It was a mixture of 2 people. One of those persons was the victim, Robert Eidman, and the other one was an unknown male.
I knew once we obtained the DNA profile, the identity of the individual in Bob Eidman's pocket, I knew that was the golden ticket. I knew that was when we were going to be able to close this case.
That unknown DNA could lead investigators to Bob's killer, so Cry enters the profile into CODIS. That's a law enforcement database. Hours later, there's a hit.
It hit that same day, and the next day, state gave me the name.
The DNA doesn't match Bob's wife or his secret lover or anyone else the police had been looking into. Instead, it comes back to someone who was never on the investigators' radar.
What did you learn that person's name was?
Paul White.
When the name's first discovered, Detective Stepp is otherwise engaged.
I was on a traffic detail directing traffic.
You just want to run up and down the street and tell people we've got our guy?
I was very shocked. My mind was not on directing traffic at that time.
What did you do then?
I started researching Paul White.
Turns out Paul White was no stranger to law enforcement, having served 15 years in prison for robbery.
When they got the DNA match, Don had contacted me and said, I'm going to solve this. And I truly believed him. I got to give him a lot of credit. You know, he did a lot of old-fashioned work.
This new lead poses even more questions for investigators. Could Diane have hired Paul White to kill Bob, or had White acted alone? When the DNA came in, that didn't seem to exclude her either. The idea being maybe she had hired somebody.
Yes, I mean, it was worked all the way through.
You now have Paul White's DNA on Robert Eidman's pocket at the time of his murder, right?
Yes, sir.
So I assume you want to talk to Paul White.
Yes, sir, I do.
And Paul White was not hard to find.
Paul White was incarcerated at the time when the DNA came back.
How you doing?
And so in September 2010, Detective Stepp pays a visit to Paul White at a maximum security prison in Fulton, Missouri, where he's serving time for forgery.
Do you have any idea why we're here? I wanted him to know right off the bat that we knew he was there. Does this guy look familiar? Never seen him before. I wanted the truth. I wanted to get a confession from Paul. I've got your DNA in his back pocket.
And will that touch DNA evidence be enough to get that confession?
White leaned back in his chair. He laughed.
It's impossible.
It's not.
It's impossible. It's no way in the world. It's impossible.
What are you thinking when he does that?
I'm thinking this is going to be a long interview.
I'm getting taped and stuff, and what the, man.
Came in.
Investigators quickly clear Sherry White as a suspect in Bob Eidman's murder. With the trail of evidence now leading directly to Paul White, Detective Stepp decides it's time to meet face to face.
This is where the magic happens.
Doesn't look all that magical, does it?
No, it doesn't.
What happens to people when they come into a room like this?
We get to the bottom of facts. This is where people have an opportunity to tell us about what they've done and tell us their story.
Since Paul White is already serving a prison sentence for an unrelated forgery charge, he's literally a captive audience. Let's go back and talk about some of your strategy as you were going to talk to Paul White.
Paul, I believe, was in a little bit of shock after all these years. Two detectives showing up from St. Charles City. He did not expect that to happen that day. Do you have any idea why we're here? Okay.
Are you thinking the long game at this point, or do you think he's going to start telling you stuff that he knows at that first interview?
I'm thinking to myself, the DNA itself is probably enough to get an arrest warrant, but I didn't want just an arrest warrant. I wanted the truth. Before I ask any questions, you must understand your rights. You don't have to make a statement or answer questions. You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand that? Could you put your initials there, Paul, for me? I think initially Paul White's attitude was very kicked back, relaxed. First of all, do you know a guy named Robert Eidman? Never heard of that guy? I even put a picture down in front of him and asked him, do you know this individual? Does this guy look familiar? Never seen him before. Eventually he came back around and said, yeah, I thought that was his wife's insurance man. That picture I showed you, that's Robert Eidman. Okay, you say it kind of looks familiar?
Yeah, that's the guy we got the insurance from.
And I explained that we were working a homicide investigation, and I explained that his DNA was located in his back pocket. Do you think there's any chance that your DNA is going to pop up inside that crime scene?
From a robbery.
From a robbery? None? You come to prison, they take your DNA. Your DNA pops up. You know where it pops up? Swabbing a back pocket of my victim. Your DNA shows up in this guy's back pocket.
That ain't nowhere in the world.
Why don't you think that?
You said that he got robbed. I never robbed the guy. I've been in there one time and to get insurance. So that's
exactly.
That's, ain't nowhere in the world.
You're telling me you've been in there one time.
Yeah.
And your DNA shows up in this guy's back pocket a month later?
That don't even make sense.
Exactly. With your story, it doesn't make sense.
Again and again during that first interrogation, you tell him, I've got your DNA. I mean, you must have told him, what, 10 or 15 times in the course of that conversation, right?
At least 10 or 15 times. He kept saying, there is no way. Repeatedly. He did not believe it.
It's impossible. It's no way in the world. It's impossible.
Paul, it's not possible.
Okay.
Well, I'm telling you.
I know it's impossible. It's no way in the world.
Then how to get there?
I don't even feel like it was there. It's impossible for it to be there.
After White's adamant and repeated denials about that DNA evidence against him, investigators uncover another critical piece of evidence.
I ran every kind of data history check on him. The big point with Paul White was I found out that a neighboring law enforcement agency had issued a ticket to Paul White after our homicide in a white Ford Focus.
That's right, a white Ford Focus. And remember, that's the very same vehicle make caught on a surveillance camera the day Bob Eidman was murdered.
Paul White was a passenger in that vehicle, and the driver was identified via tickets as Cleo Hines.
Why was the car stopped in the first place?
Registration on the vehicle.
The registration on the vehicle was out of date?
That's correct.
Who was the driver of the car?
The driver of the vehicle was Cleo Hines.
What was significant about that?
We later learned that Cleo Hines was living with Paul White, and his girlfriend was best friends with Paul White's wife.
So they had a long-standing relationship?
Yes, sir.
What was the indication that you had that Cleo Hines might have been involved in the murder of Robert Eidman?
It was Cleo Hines' vehicle.
You were sure of that?
I was sure of that. I had a couple other officers contact Cleo Hines, and they arrested Cleo Hines and brought him to the St. Charles City Police Department.
Does Cleo Hines know a secret that could solve Bob Eidman's murder?
You know a man died, right? You know that? Somebody pulled that trigger.
After several years of lead after lead turning cold, the investigation into Bob Eidman's murder is now heating up as lead detective Don Stepp zeroes in on a new suspect, a man named Cleo Hines.
I was going to take the same approach with Cleo Hines as I did with Paul White. Are you the hardened criminal, or are you a guy that made a mistake?
Let's talk about the robbery. Dude, I know all about it.
I told him we had a positive idea of his vehicle. We had a positive idea of a Focus, a white four-door Focus.
You know your vehicle's on video? Do you know that? You know that Mexican grocery store? There's a video camera inside. So I seen you pull in. Now, you didn't just pull around once, did you? No, like twice. You pulled around twice, and that's on camera. Yeah. Then you pulled up.
He knew he owned a white four-door Focus. He knew he was involved in this. There was no way that he could fight that.
Unlike Paul White, Hines immediately starts talking, saying White approached him the day of the murder.
He got a gun in his hand. Okay. He wakes me up out of my sleep, into my head.
He told you he was going to do a robbery?
I basically already knew that because of the gun.
Okay.
And how he was acting. I mean, he ain't have no money.
It took a very short time, and Cleo just started talking and talking and talking.
What kind of handgun do you think it was?
It looked kind of like a 9mm Glock.
A 9mm Glock, the same type of handgun investigators determined was used to murder Bob Eidman. But the question is, who pulled the trigger?
Somebody pulled that trigger.
Yeah. Okay. It wasn't me, it was him. Okay.
And Cleo wanted to give his side of the story to defend himself against whatever Paul might say he did.
I told him 20 times to drop him off. I'm outside, bro. He goes and about 5 minutes later, he comes back out.
Do you have gloves on?
Paul, yeah. He has a white gloves. White gloves. They were like cotton, like gloves.
Paul White had been wearing gloves, so Paul White absolutely wasn't going to say anything because he believed his DNA couldn't have been located because he was wearing gloves.
I don't even feel like it was there. It's impossible for it to be there.
So if a perpetrator was wearing a cotton glove when they go into the pocket and digging around, they could leave that DNA that's already on the exterior inside the pocket. Also, if the individual is sweating, it could actually soak through the glove and leave DNA behind that way.
What do you do with those gloves after shooting? In the barbecue pit? Yeah.
Armed with Cleo Hines' confession, Stepp hits the road to Fulton Prison once more for another crack at Paul White.
And I'm gonna tell you right up now, I got a full confession from Cleo Hines. Okay, he told me everything.
But even after Detective Stepp reveals Cleo Hines has accused Paul White of being the gunman, Paul White doesn't blink.
If you got Cleo saying that I did this and that, he's evidently lying to you. And I don't know why he would even say that I would put a gun to his head and force him to do something.
It's hard to do an interview to get a confession from somebody for a murder. It's really hard to get a confession from somebody for a murder inside prison.
White is arrested the next day, and he's charged with robbery and murder, and could be facing life in prison. Now, with the pressure turned up so high, will he finally change his story?
I've asked you 3 times. Drove 87 miles one way to ask you these questions.
Hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically. Hypothetically.
If I say I was there, you know what I mean, and I saw everything that happened, you know what I mean, and it's like, that just makes me as guilty. You know, I still get a murder charge, but I didn't kill him. I didn't pull the trigger.
Finally, the dam breaks. Paul White starts talking.
I said, I think he got some cash in there, you know what I mean? So I said, well, you can go in and rob him, but I said, he probably know who I am, so we're gonna have to get some match. We already had those gloves, those cotton gloves that you were talking about, and then we went up to Walmart, and they had those little type ski masks.
Paul White describes a chilling scene of a panicked Bob Eidman trying to comply with his assailant's demands for money with that notoriously sticky desk drawer, you know, where Bob kept his money, instead of in a safe.
And then he started shaking it, like, to his drawer and couldn't get the drawer open. And I was like, man, just give me your wallet. And so I reached in his pocket and grabbed the wallet. And Cleo was like, man, no, there's more money there.
There was a lot of finger pointing at each other, trying to point the blame to someone else.
Cleo Hines told police he never even got out of the car at Bob Eidman's office. But Paul White wants police to believe that it was always Hines who had fired the bullets that killed Bob Eidman.
We shot him once. He was like, man, where the rest of the money? Where the rest of the money? And he was like, man, there is no other money. There is no other money. And he shot him again. And I'm like, man, what the you doing? I said, man, is he dead? He was like, I don't know. Shot him again. So I'm like, man, we gotta get rid of this gun. You know what I'm saying? I took it and threw it off the bridge.
Paul White offers to help find the murder weapon, riding along in handcuffs in the back seat of a squad car.
We took Paul White out of St. Charles County Jail.
Going to find a weapon.
And had him point out the area where he got rid of the gun.
I would say, like, right in here.
We searched an extensive area for the gun, was never able to locate it.
Now we have 2 suspects and 2 confessions. And with both men pointing the finger at each other, prosecutors are gearing up to put both of them on trial.
I was sitting in the same room with the person that shot and killed my brother. And that was pretty hard to be calm.
Will Bob Eidman's family finally learn who murdered him? At the climax of a more than 3-year investigation that at one point involved 37 officers, cops finally learned the details of what was stolen the day of Bob Eidman's murder.
How much money was in the wallet?
Wasn't nothing but like $300.
So, how much you
like
get?
$150 apiece.
$150 apiece. Paul White and Cleo both advised they went to the casino after the homicide and lost the $300 almost immediately.
He went to the casino because that's what he paid a lot. He lost the money. Yeah, basically he did for nothing.
Right.
It's hard to think about a man's life being taken for $300.
He didn't deserve what he got. He was running a business, trying to make a living, and somebody felt that what he had, they needed too. And so they took it from him. They could have taken his money and left. They didn't have to kill him.
As far as any connection between the two men accused of killing Bob Eidman and Bob's widow, Diane, Paul White revealed to investigators that he didn't even know who she was.
Do you know a woman named Diane?
No.
You don't know a woman named Diane Eidman?
No.
With Paul White and Cleo Hines now both charged with Bob Eidman's murder, it now falls to Detective Stepp to break the news to Diane Eidman, who had long been in his crosshairs.
I met Diane at her place of employment, and I said, Diane, this is over. We have the individuals, and we have the charges on them for killing your husband.
Was she angry at you?
I don't believe she was angry at me. There was a lot of stress that just came off Diane. You could almost see it leaving her body as she was shaking and crying. She was very happy that this was over.
Here, some 5 years after Bob Eidman's murder, Paul White and Cleo Hines are set to stand trial in this courthouse. 2 trials, 2 defendants, with 2 totally different accounts of the crime.
First up at trial, Paul White, who pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and first-degree robbery.
Really didn't know what to think when I came into trial because I was sitting in the same room with the person that shot and killed my brother. And that was pretty hard.
The trial for Paul White lasted 3 days, which is actually very short for a murder trial in this county.
The trial was swift, and so were the deliberations. The jury needed just 2.5 hours before delivering a verdict. Paul White, guilty of murder and robbery in the first degree.
As for Cleo Hines, he decided not to put his fate in the hands of a jury. Before his trial, he entered what's known as an Alford plea.
An Alford plea is a plea in the state of Missouri where an individual will not say, I did it, but there's enough evidence to say I did it.
With that plea, Hines is convicted of a lesser crime than White, second-degree murder and first-degree robbery. He received 2 life terms, but while Hines' sentence offers the possibility of parole, Paul White will never again see the light of day outside a prison.
Paul White was sentenced to life without parole in the Missouri Department of Corrections.
The investigation into Bob Eidman's murder had cast a shadow of suspicion on his widow, Diane. Now she stood in court and gave her own account of all she had lost. Were you there for Diane's victim impact statement?
Yes, we were. She said, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. You took my best friend. You took my husband away from me.
She told the court this in part. I looked over my shoulder for 5 years afraid, never knowing if the people who killed Bob were coming after me, or did the police really believe that I killed my husband?
I do feel like the system worked. The killers were caught. Science prevailed and overwhelmingly provided evidence that got them a conviction. Never again can he come to a Christmas dinner. Never again can we see him for a birthday party. Never again could he and my son talk and have a conversation or a relationship.
He just loved life. I mean, he was always happy and making jokes. making light of things all the time. We talk about him all the time. It's not like he's gone. He's still here with us.
I'm missing my right arm. I feel like I'm just missing my life. I don't know what to do.
Miriam gets home. It looked like the house had been ransacked.
She sees Alan laying on the kitchen floor.
He was shot right in the back of the head.
62-year-old Alan Helmick dead.
Here in this parking lot, less than 2 months before Alan was murdered, there was an earlier attempt on his life.
Somebody tried to torch our car. So the car actually got torched?
We found a vehicle that had a wick in its gas tank and had been set on fire.
Never seen anything like that before.
We didn't know if this person could come back.
Miriam became convinced she was being watched.
She thought somebody was trying to come into the house, and she was scared for her life.
2 weeks after Alan's murder, Miriam finds a dramatic discovery under her doormat.
And she goes, "What should I do? What should I do?" And I said, "You call the police and you get away from there."
There's a card inside that says, Alan's first, you're next. Run, run, run.
Out here in the western Colorado countryside, the wide open spaces can stretch for miles. In a place this remote, it might seem unlikely that two lonely souls might find each other and a second chance at love. But that's exactly what happened here, until one warm summer day when the peace of this place was shattered by unimaginable violence.
911, what do you have to cover your emergency?
My husband is
You what?
My husband is dead.
This was a big story that shocked a small town.
There's stuff everywhere. He has blood under his head.
There was a scare in the community, you know, that something like that could happen. We don't have a lot of crime here.
No, what's got to do this?
Murders just didn't really happen there, especially murders with so many twists, and especially to a well-respected businessman that everybody really loved.
Alan Helmick was a fixture in this community, a man who dedicated his life to helping others achieve their dreams, getting small businesses off the ground and families into their first homes. In fact, he was known as the broker of Main Street.
Alan Helmick was a prominent businessman. He had a mortgage business. Everybody respected him. He was firm, but he was very friendly.
An avid outdoorsman, Alan took advantage of all western Colorado had to offer.
The western slope is just gorgeous. It really is where the west meets a bit of suburbia. And in Whitewater, people had these sprawling homes, very affluent, very safe.
How would you describe this town of Grand Junction?
We pride ourselves on our outdoor activities, our beaches, our wine industry. Great for families.
Alan had grown up in the nearby town of Delta and settled into Grand Junction to raise a family. What was Alan Helmick like?
You know, he was a good guy. He was a great athlete.
Bob Cacchetti was Alan's friend and longtime accountant. Good instincts?
Yeah. Oh, he was a risk taker. He was a gambler. We went to Vegas once, and I think by the time we checked in the hotel, he was borrowing money. He recovered, you know.
He was a good business person. He took a lot of chances, but it seemed to more than not played out and worked well for him.
And definitely not one to shy away from attention.
One time we were in Mexico. A bunch of us were down there on a fishing trip, and the mariachi band came around the restaurant. Alan handed him a few dollars and asked for the trumpet from one of them, and he joined him on the trumpet. And he was really good. It was like, wow, where'd that come from?
So it didn't surprise those who knew Alan that after his first wife unexpectedly passed away, he wanted to meet new people. So he decided to try something different, dance classes. And his instructor is this woman, Miriam Giles.
Yeah, he came in one time and we were doing something and he says, yeah, I just love dancing.
Miriam was a very good dancer, a good instructor. She had me dancing, which was a miracle.
Alan, I believe, kind of had that love at first sight feeling and really wanted to pursue Miriam and did so on the dance floor.
Miriam was 10 years his junior, but Alan didn't let that discourage him. He described meeting Miriam in an interview he did shortly before he died.
She didn't want to date me, but I persisted. She was my dance instructor, so I could go on a cruise and not be club-footed. We ended up becoming pretty compatible.
Alan seemed reborn. He was so very happy.
They ended up falling madly in love and got married within 2 years of knowing each other.
They would talk about how they would go out on their boats late at night to watch the sunsets together, have an evening cocktail, and just how they felt like they had just found a true partner late in life. It was just like a little fairy tale come true.
It's June 10th, 2008. Typical, beautiful Tuesday morning in Whitewater. And Miriam leaves to go run some errands. Alan was going to get his car serviced, and then they were going to meet up for lunch.
She stopped to get cigarettes, stuff for her horse, even check on a prescription for him.
She went to City Market to pick up his prescription and found out that he hadn't dropped it off. So she called him, could not get a hold of him.
When Miriam gets to the Chinese restaurant, she calls Alan again to see if they're gonna meet, but Alan never shows.
Miriam, after 15 minutes, decides to leave and head home. Miriam gets home. It looked like the house had been ransacked.
At that point, she sees Alan laying on the kitchen floor on his back with blood under his head. She calls 911 immediately. She's sobbing. She's frantic.
It's so bloody.
Is it bloody?
Yeah.
Where's he bleeding from?
It looks like the back of his head. It looks like somebody's been through here.
We knew patrol had been dispatched out to what was reported as a robbery, and then we had a deceased person on scene.
Robin Martin is a detective who worked the case. When the first officers arrived on the scene, they find Miriam distraught and kneeling over her husband.
Alan was on the floor in the kitchen. It looked like he had been shot in the head, and we had a bullet casing next to his body. They did a very quick security sweep to make sure there wasn't a suspect still on scene.
There's no one in the house. As they conduct their sweep, deputies notice drawers pulled out in the kitchen and a trash can tipped over in Alan's office.
In the newsroom, we have police scanners, and we heard the call go out saying there was a robbery homicide out in Whitewater. I packed up my camera gear and went out there immediately. What I saw when I got out there was a scene that was taped off. Multiple officers going in and out of the house, conducting their investigation.
A lot of media attention?
Yes.
This was a big deal in that town, I guess.
It was, very much so. And everybody wanted to know what was going on.
My wife and I were getting ready for bed. 10 o'clock news come on. The headline was, there has been a homicide in Whitewater.
The Mesa County Sheriff's Office is called out to this Whitewater home.
I kind of jokingly said to my wife, I says, oh no, I wonder if that's Alan. And lo and behold, it was Alan.
What they find is 62-year-old Alan Helmick dead, shot in the head.
It's Detective Work 101 that you start with the people closest to the victim. But in this case, Alan's wife, Miriam, was running those errands, expecting to meet Alan for lunch. She even had the voicemails to prove it.
Okay, Alan, this isn't funny anymore. I've been sitting here in front of a Chinese place for 15 minutes, so would you call me?
Things did not add up. Everybody knew him. Everybody loved him. Who would do such a thing?
The Mesa County Sheriff's Office is called out to this Whitewater home on a report of a possible robbery. What they find is 62-year-old Alan Helmick dead, shot in the head.
After finding her husband Alan dead in a pool of blood on the floor of their Whitewater, Colorado home, Miriam Helmick is brought in for an interview with the Mesa County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you for coming down and helping us get to the bottom of this. We appreciate it. It's Miriam, right?
Investigators are trying to solve this murder. The first 24 to 48 hours are critical, and she is the first person you want to talk to.
Miriam was at our office. As we do with all, what were you doing today? Can you go through your day for us?
I had some errands I needed to run today, so he was we would meet later, so he got in the shower and got dressed.
Okay, what time did you leave?
And what did she tell investigators about her whereabouts that morning?
She started listing off everywhere she had been. She told us that she was calling Alan several times, was getting his voicemail.
Hi, Alan. I just want to let you know I'm going to Walmart. If you're going to meet me for lunch, let's meet at the Chinese buffet. Love ya. Bye.
Then what happened?
I still hadn't heard from him. And then I went from there to Orchard, Mesa City Market to pick up his prescription.
Okay. What time is it now?
I probably got there about 10, around 10.
Hey, Alan. You need to turn your phone on. Question for you. When we tried to pick up your prescription, they said that you hadn't been by yet. So are we still going to be able to meet for lunch? It's not like you to not call me, so give me a holler. Thanks. Bye.
And since he hadn't called me back, I thought he was caught up somewhere to me. So I left him a message and told him I was going home in case he decided to meet me there anyway.
Okay, Alan, this isn't funny anymore. I've been sitting here in front of a Chinese place for 15 minutes, and you're never late. So would you call me?
Miriam's entire morning is accounted for. She even offers up proof of where she's been.
I think I have all the receipts in my pocket.
She actually went from one end of the valley to the other end, and we were able to track her movements, not only by her receipts, but by her cell phone interacting with cell phone towers.
She was tested for gunshot residue?
Yes, she was tested for gunshot residue.
Her clothes were collected?
That's right.
They take those items to check them for any kind of gunshot residue or blood spatter that might indicate Miriam had something to do with this. And those results came back negative.
She's also caught on several surveillance cameras throughout the morning. Miriam seemingly has an airtight alibi. So naturally, investigators are anxious to ask her who she thinks may have wanted to harm Alan.
Did he have any enemies, any problems with any of his contracting work going on, any disputes? Would he share that with you if he did?
I think so. He shared a lot with me.
Miriam said Alan was generally well-liked, but detectives also knew he'd been a local mortgage broker. Could he have turned someone down? Maybe had a disgruntled former client or co-worker who was out for revenge.
He did not like lying or dishonesty. He would fire people for that, but that was respected.
And he had started his own business here decades earlier. Alan had married his high school sweetheart, Sharon, and had 4 children through 37 years together. But on New Year's Eve, 2003, she died of a sudden heart attack. How did that affect him?
Friends said that he was quite depressed and wasn't doing that well.
And soon afterward, he takes up dancing.
He was encouraged to try a new activity.
When Alan met Miriam, I know she had a policy of not dating her students, but Alan was pretty relentless.
Kieran Wilson was a local journalist in Grand Junction, Colorado, who covered this case. Just days after Alan's murder, she spoke to an emotional Miriam.
I met him teaching how to dance, and I didn't really like him. Wow, he grew on me. But he was such a gentleman, and he was so sweet, and just love him to death, you know.
Miriam had been dealt her own difficult hand in life, having faced not one but 2 unimaginable tragedies back in her home state of Florida. Chris Giles is Miriam's son. Grew up in Jacksonville, mom, dad, a sister. What was it like?
It was good.
Typical kind of four family. You know, me and my sister were super close. Mom kind of led us to do our things, but was also there to kind of shepherd everything and help us through.
In 2000, Miriam and her first husband, Jack, were devastated when their eldest child, 23-year-old daughter Amy, died suddenly after an accidental overdose.
How did the family cope with this, with her death?
We didn't really talk about it. After a while, things kind of started going downhill.
And Jack just, he kind of, he just could not live without his daughter. It just tore him apart.
And then 2 years after your sister dies, tragedy strikes again.
Yeah, my dad took his own life, and I woke up to the gunshot.
Miriam's husband, Jack, shot himself while he and Miriam were in bed.
Mom kind of runs out the door, and she's hysterical, just losing her mind, like a scream I've never heard before in my entire life.
Well, it was a dramatic change in your family, the loss of father.
Yeah, and you're trying to figure out how to deal with those things. You got to deal with the pain. You got to deal with the hurt. You know.
She turned to dancing after all this.
Yeah, it was kind of her escape, where she kind of felt normal.
And then your mom decides to move to Colorado.
Yes.
And not long after is when Alan Helmick walked through the door of the dance studio where Miriam worked.
Everybody's really happy for Alan. He seemed real happy. Yeah, another chance at love.
Everybody said that her and Alan were kind of a good team for dancing. They were a real couple.
So Alan and Miriam decided to build a house together, and they chose the community of Whitewater. The house was set pretty far back from the road, and it was about a 40-acre property.
Your mom goes through all this, seemingly happy again, and all of a sudden, this happens.
911, what do you have to cover emergency?
My husband is dead.
How did you learn that Alan had died?
She called me. And told me that he'd been shot. Still kind of another shock to the system.
Another loss.
Yeah, another loss.
So far, investigators don't seem to have much to go on. But about an hour into that police interview, Miriam says something that would raise the eyebrows of any homicide detective.
In Delta. And somebody tried to torch our car.
So the car actually got torched in Delta?
Had Alan's killer made an earlier attempt on his life? After Alan Helmick is found murdered in his Whitewater, Colorado home, his wife Miriam is interviewed by investigators. And she tells them about a shocking incident that happened just 6 weeks earlier.
Somebody tried to torch our car. They took a stick or a big like restaurant skewer and put some kind of gauze on it and stuck it down in the gas tank and lit it.
Here in this parking lot, less than 2 months before he was murdered, there was an earlier attempt on Alan's life. Someone tried to set his car on fire. It looked like something straight out of a movie, but for the Helmicks, this brush with death was all too real.
Tell me about that incident. What happened that day with the car?
Well, Alan and Miriam had driven to Delta for the closing on their business. They were selling Alan's title company to a purchaser, and they had finished the transaction and had parked out front.
Collected a check?
And collected a check for over $100,000 for the sale of this business, and got in the car.
At that point, Miriam went in to use the restroom.
And while she's in the business, the car starts smoking.
Alan looked in the mirror and saw that the vehicle was on fire. He got out of the vehicle, went to the back of the car, and a wick was in the gas tank.
When Miriam comes out, she hears that Alan's screaming at her to bring her to get a fire extinguisher, that the car is on fire.
On arrival, we found a vehicle that had a wick in its gas tank and had been set on fire.
You ever seen anything like that before?
No, I had not seen anything like that.
It was pretty obvious someone had tried to start that fire.
Correct.
So if someone was trying to set the car on fire, it didn't quite work.
Correct. The fumes did not ignite, fortunately.
Were they able to glean anything else from the crime scene?
No security cameras from the surrounding businesses, no video footage whatsoever of what had transpired.
The police both questioned Miriam and Alan after the car incident.
You have no idea who would do this to you or Alan?
No, not at all. I mean, it's just weird. I don't know. We've been hashing it over last night. We can't figure it out.
Alan didn't have a lot of enemies, and so who would want to kill Alan in that kind of way by blowing up his car? That was a real mystery.
Do you know anyone that would have a problem with you?
I do not. Over the years, active as I was in business in this area, there's going to be some unhappy people because I turn people down on loans from time to time. But I think I was well respected in the savings and loan industry. There are two people that have had a problem with it.
Okay, who are those two people?
Alan mentions two bankers with whom he had prior dealings, but quickly downplays their potential involvement in the arson.
I can't imagine them being vindictive because they're too much exposed.
Right.
They did stupid things, but they're not stupid people.
Investigators will ultimately determine that those bankers are not involved, but they're exploring every avenue, even asking Alan if he thinks it's possible Miriam could have been responsible for the car fire.
Oh, God. No, I don't think that.
Not at all.
That would be terrible. No, why would you do that?
So during the interviews with officers, Alan and Miriam had mentioned that Miriam would not hurt Alan or harm him because Alan was worth more to her alive than if he were dead.
What would she gain if you died yesterday?
What he would get is a mess. She gets nothing that was created prior to the marriage.
Alan was convinced that it wasn't Miriam, and if the investigators in Delta had any suspicions of Miriam being involved in this, Alan was the first to defend her and say she wouldn't do this.
And besides, what reason would Miriam have for trying to kill Alan? He'd always gone out of his way to make her dreams come true with lavish gifts and gestures.
His goal in life was to make me happy, and he took care of me. His favorite saying was, have fun like hell. So anytime he knew I was going shopping or he gave me money or anything like that, he would say, have fun like hell.
Alan loved Miriam, and he was always happy to dote on her, buying her lavish gifts like her own dance studio and even a horse training business, always intent on making her lifelong dreams a reality.
I met Alan and Miriam Helmick at my farm because they wanted to buy some horses to start a horse breeding operation. It was always her passion to start riding, and Alan was just said, I'm going to give this dream to you.
Horse training centers, it's extremely difficult way to make a living. Most of those never pay off. It's a labor of love.
You told him it was not a good idea to invest in this horse.
No, and I said, it's a good hobby, but it's too expensive.
And his desire to open up that dance studio came from where?
Oh, it had to be Miriam.
You had your concerns about him investing in these things.
Oh, I told him, I said, get your head up your ass.
Sounds like he really wanted to make Miriam happy.
I think so.
Alan was always very good with his finances, but with the horse business and the dance business, they were hemorrhaging money.
As investigators began digging into Alan's finances, they found that bad business decisions had left him in a serious financial hole. But were his money troubles enough of a reason for someone to want him dead? Or could the murder have been more personal?
Does Alan Jr. know where you guys live now?
Yes, he's been there.
He's my wayward kid because he's sort of a bum.
Investigators will soon learn about some long-standing Helmick family tension.
He said if he shows up when he's not announced, you call the cops.
One week after his untimely death, Alan Helmick is laid to rest.
When we were at Alan's funeral, Miriam sat in a pew in the very front, of course. She was crying, looked real despondent. Alan's family, his daughters, were just heartbroken and devastated. Alan was a really good dad to those kids. He was like their rock, and hit them real hard.
What's it like around here without him, I guess?
Very quiet. I'm missing my right arm. I feel like I'm just missing my life. I don't know what to do.
In the days after Alan Helmick's murder, investigators had diligently chased down leads and conducted interviews with people in his orbit, but they hadn't announced any suspects. There was, however, one thing they were pretty sure of. This was not a robbery gone wrong. What stood out to you?
It was odd. You had property still in the house that was, you could assume, was of value that a normal burglar would take.
Like what?
Computers, phones, jewelry. The normal type of stuff you would expect somebody to steal.
There were drawers pulled out evenly. There was a trash can knocked over. There were drawers that were open that wouldn't hold valuables anyway.
And most of the drawers were open in the kitchen, right?
Correct. In the kitchen, throughout the house. It just did not sit right. It did not feel right. It was looking staged.
And Alan's autopsy confirmed that he probably had not walked in on anyone committing a burglary.
There was no indication that Alan had tried to fight off his attacker. It was very clear that he was caught by surprise as he was shot right in the back of the head.
Do you think Alan knew his attacker?
I don't know.
But there was someone in Alan's life that Miriam had told investigators he'd been wary of. At one point, Miriam starts pointing fingers at Alan's son, Alan Jr. What did she say about him?
Miriam talked about how Alan and Alan Jr. never got along, and that there was some falling out between the two of them and some animosity.
Tell me more about Alan Jr.
He's had run-ins with the law.
What was the relationship between Alan and Alan Jr. 3 to 4 months ago?
Same.
Same
It's
distance?
been that way for many years.
Okay, kind of
Very
stayed apart.
distant.
Okay.
There's some real animosity there.
Does Alan Jr. know where you guys live now?
Yes, he's been there.
And after that car fire 6 weeks earlier, Alan had also mentioned his strained relationship with his son to those investigators.
He's my wayward kid because he's sort of a bum, and you can't fix that by just handing him money.
Alan's personal issues with his son, coupled with the fact that he may have known his attacker, was enough for detectives to bring Alan Jr. in for an interview.
Come on in and have a seat. And I,
Right here?
yes, that's
All right.
fine.
He's the kind of guy that if he saw something that wasn't right, he would give you his 2 cents about it, and it would not be nice. It would be sharp.
He just told it as it is.
Yeah, it's sharp. Yeah, right out.
Sure.
My dad's like, you're out, you know,
Right.
you're I like you because you're doing this.
Alan Jr. goes on to say that his father had effectively cut him off financially.
Your dad would give me a dime.
Okay. Did you ask?
No, I'm sure that I had back then, and they repeated, you know, hey, this is something you need to learn to take care of yourself.
When asked, Alan Jr. insists he would never hurt his father, and he had an alibi. He was working out of state at the time of the murder.
Where were you Tuesday? Because everybody's been asked that question.
You know, I'm not an ignorant human being.
Right.
And I would be offended if you didn't ask those questions. In fact, I would be angry with you if you didn't ask them in that way. Would have been working on the computers. I would have been at the hostel on my computer.
In Seattle.
Alan Jr. was cleared as a suspect.
That's right. No evidence linking Alan Jr. to having anything to do with Alan's murder.
So investigators are back to square one.
That's right.
There were no suspects. We didn't know if this person could come back.
I never thought it would happen here or anything like that would ever happen here. It's always quiet around here.
Are you scared that this person might come back?
I don't know. Yes and no. I don't want to leave because I'm closer to him here.
Had there been a murder in my home, would not want to stay there, especially not a few days after. But she said it was her home. She said she felt closer to him there.
But if Miriam says she felt safe enough to stay in her and Alan's home, that was about to change.
And then 2 weeks after Alan's murder, Miriam finds a dramatic discovery under her doormat at the house.
And she goes, what should I do? What should I do? And I said, you get off the phone and you call the police and you get away from there.
Was the killer now coming after Miriam?
Miriam Helmick came home last Tuesday to find her husband Alan shot and killed. Her quiet Whitewater neighborhood was turned upside down.
The baffling murder of businessman Alan Helmick had left a community desperate for answers. Detectives were taking a close look at everyone in Alan's life, even close friends like Ed Benson, who was brought in for an interview.
I've known Alan, I don't know, a long time.
So you're good friends, I could. Well, is it safe to say you're good friends, or
we're friends? I mean,
okay.
We're not. We're good friends.
So,
strange interviews with the sheriff's department, the investigator. You know, you go in and we're friends, but yet we were treated as like suspects.
Did you guys ever have any bad blood between you two or anything like that?
Not from my standpoint. Not at all. No.
Any enemies that you know of without Alan telling you, or any? Said rumors that, Alan's not a good guy or anything like that?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
And there was that mysterious car fire just weeks earlier. Everyone wondering, could the two incidents be linked?
Take it all that they may be connected?
A good possibility. I was letting them figure that out. It was, it was a shock to us. But he never mentioned anything about anybody that would do something like that.
As days passed with no suspects in custody, Miriam became convinced she was being watched. She reported seeing a white pickup truck with a driver she didn't recognize circling the property, leaving her to wonder whether the same people who killed Alan were now coming after her.
I talked to Miriam almost on a daily basis, and in a lot of our conversations, she talked about that she thought somebody was trying to come into the house and she was scared for her life.
Miriam starts reporting that weird things have been happening around the house. She's saying that she will come home and a door that she knows she locked is unlocked.
She was finding lights on. She was finding medicine cabinet doors open that shouldn't be.
She saw one or more suspicious vehicles that she didn't know who was linked to them. And mind you, this is a very small area, only a handful of homes out there. And you recognize most of the vehicles that are driving in and out of the area.
But the strange happenings at the home weren't the only thing worrying Miriam. With Alan, the sole breadwinner, gone, there wasn't any money coming in. During her police interview, Miriam had explained to investigators that they had a prenup.
She really didn't have anything without him. She didn't stand to gain a lot.
I did not have any legal claim to anything that he owned.
Okay.
It was pretty cut and dried.
Miriam's financial situation was fairly dire. In fact, she started selling off some of the property they had together.
She said she had no money, all the money was in Alan's name. So I said, well, let me buy the horses back, I'll pay your debt off. to the other trainer. That way it'll give you some money for what you need to live on.
And then, as Miriam is struggling to stay financially afloat, an ominous message shows up on her doorstep.
She was with her friend Penny. They had just gotten back from shopping. She goes up to her front door and she sees an envelope sticking out from under the mat. And when she opens that envelope, there's a card inside that says, "Alan's first, you're next. Run, run, run."
She collapses to the ground, becomes very distraught.
Marion calls me and she's frantic. And she goes, "What should I do?" And I said, "Well, you need to hang up the phone and call the police and get out of there." I said, "Because somebody could be there trying to hurt you."
The greeting card is turned over by Miriam to her lawyer, who then notifies the police.
I was given a copy of the card. It said, "To the grieving widow," in block letters. On the front is a picture of a middle-aged female. And it said, "Insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result." And then inside, Alan spelled A-L-L-E-N.
Misspelled.
Misspelled. Your was also Y-O-U-R. A grammatical thing, okay.
Whoever left it there had cut out the barcode, seemingly in an effort to obfuscate anybody tracing that card, where it was purchased, who purchased it, that sort of thing.
It looks like Miriam might be the next target.
Maybe there is somebody out there who really wants to kill Miriam as well.
After Miriam received the threatening card, she left and she went back to Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, where she's from. She moved in with her son, Chris.
How was she coping?
Oh, it was not good. You know, there was some brokenness there. I just knew that she was in a bad place. I was trying to help her through that stuff.
What did you make of that?
I think that's not that abnormal. She didn't have a lot to her name, so she needed to figure out how to live without Alan.
Back in Colorado, that bizarre greeting card gives police something they have been desperately searching for: a solid lead.
I had actually seen this card before.
Just coincidentally, you had seen the card?
It's kind of a unique front on a card.
It's at this city market that investigators finally get the break they've been waiting for. The person who bought that card with the threatening message from Miriam is caught on surveillance tape here. And just who that person is will take everyone by surprise.
You see it clear as day.
Then a bombshell discovery from decades earlier.
The piece of evidence that was really the smoking gun, almost literally, was recovered from that lawn in Delta.
What investigators find buried here will crack this case wide open.
What we had was a man who had led a good life and he ended up murdered.
I saw Alan on the floor. He was cold and gray.
People were in disbelief. People were scared.
I held his hand for a few minutes and tried to make some sense of it all.
Miriam comes home. There's a handwritten note, and it says, "To the grieving widow."
Alan's first, you're next. Run, run, run.
It looks like Miriam might be the next target.
The killer was now after her.
You want twists and turns? There's no shortage of that here.
I met Miriam on a dating site. She wrote, saw your profile and loved it.
She was moving on.
Even my girls were like, she's dating already?
She's trying to get on with her life in a new state. But another incident with a gun comes to the surface.
I heard the shot. Mom kind of runs out the door and she's hysterical, just screaming. Like a scream I've never heard before in my entire life.
Could what they find buried in this yard be the smoking gun?
On June 10, 2008, 62-year-old respected businessman Alan Helmick was found dead in his home by his wife Miriam.
When we arrived, Alan was on the floor in the kitchen. He had been shot in the head, and we had a bullet casing next to his body.
The place had been ransacked, but nothing seemed to have been taken.
They realized fairly quickly that this was a staged attempt to hide what really happened.
A tragic ending to what appeared to be a perfect second chance at love.
Both Alan and Miriam were widows. She was his dance instructor for ballroom dancing lessons.
I'm missing my right arm. I feel like I'm just missing my life. I don't know what to do.
Miriam told police she'd been running errands all morning and provided receipts to back up her alibi.
I went to Walmart. Okay. I needed to buy some shirts.
Police were at a loss as to who would want this well-liked businessman dead.
Alan had some enemies, but nobody was going to kill him.
And as investigators began to dig deeper, the story took a frightening turn.
Miriam comes home. There's a handwritten note, and it says, "To the grieving widow. Alan was first, you're next. Run, run, run."
It looks like Miriam might be the next target.
The real killer was now after her.
After Miriam received the threatening card, she went back to Florida, where she's from.
When Miriam came back to Florida, I was so surprised. I just couldn't believe it. She gave me a call, and you know, I got a lot to tell you, she says.
In Florida, Miriam turned to old friends for support, reconnecting with her former neighbor, Aline Lee.
Miriam didn't have any money. She said, "All I've got is just the clothes on my back. I have nothing." I said, "I can get you clothes. My girls are your size." I bought a gas card for her, and I gave her a bag of jewelry. I just felt bad for her.
While Miriam tries to restart her life in Florida, detectives in Colorado are continuing to work the case, trying to figure out where that threatening card she received came from.
They got in touch with the manufacturer of the card. He was able to tell them where these cards were sold.
I checked the Hallmark. I checked the Hobby Lobby. We finally get to the city markets. I contacted their loss prevention guy. They found 2 sales. One person paid in cash, didn't know who that person was. The other one was with a credit card. So we had a name, and then he found one more purchase. He called me and he's like, "I've got video."
That store uses VHS tapes?
That particular store was not as up to date as their others, and they did use VHS, and they used it over and over and over again. So by the time we got this tape, it was kind of delicate. It was her. She was wearing the same style of shirt that she had walked in with her interview. It was just a different color combination.
You see Miriam going first to the area where the cards are sold within the city market, and then to the cash register where she pays for it. Clear as day.
So now it appears that Miriam, the grieving widow, seemingly afraid for her own life, had actually sent that threatening card to herself. But when investigators confront her about this, she says she has an explanation.
What Miriam told them is that she felt like the police weren't paying enough attention to the case. They weren't doing much. And so she wanted to kind of jog that with this card.
That was probably not the best decision to be made. Not what I kind of would have done in this situation.
She felt she needed to do this.
She felt she needed to.
Did that greeting card incident change the way you and investigators approach the case?
What innocent person would do this? Obfuscate, complicate a murder investigation with this ruse.
But remember, when she was interviewed by investigators, Miriam said she had very little to gain from Alan's death.
We did a prenup. Okay. Everything his is his. Everything mine is mine. He has more than I do.
Okay.
With no clear motive in sight, the Mesa County Sheriff's Office turned their attention to Miriam's past, learning about that double tragedy she and her family suffered years earlier in Florida.
There was the sudden loss of her daughter, and then a shocking development with her first husband.
While Miriam and her first husband, Jack, were in bed, Jack shot himself in the head. Now you say, okay, she's had not one, but two husbands shot in the head.
Was there a common thread?
And they were both married to Miriam Helmick.
Police ruled it a suicide. There were some strange circumstances, though. Things like he used his right hand to pull the trigger. Jack was a lefty.
Investigators then start looking back at your father's death.
Yes. I woke up to the gunshot.
You were just down the hall.
I was sleeping on the couch in the family room, and I heard the shot. Mom kind of runs out the door, and she's hysterical, just screaming. Like a scream I've never heard before in my entire life. There's certain things in life that can't be faked.
Did you question her?
No. I know one of the things came up is that my dad was left-handed. Well, my dad learned how to write left-handed because he had a cast on his arm when he was younger, so he was ambidextrous. He could use his right hand too.
And you had seen him depressed before this?
Yeah.
Was the death of her first husband, that case, ever reopened?
No, it was ruled a suicide.
But with clouds of suspicion gathering over Miriam about the death of her second husband, she does something unexpected.
I met Miriam on a dating site.
A millionaire match?
A millionaire match.
Your profile described me to a T.
Investigators are starting to wonder if they could actually have a black widow on their hand.
I mean, she was finding the husbands, she was looking for the money, and then moving on.
With suspicion now mounting that she may be the person who killed her husband, Alan, Miriam Helmick does something unexpected. She goes looking for love again.
Miriam took me to this website for dating men that had a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about very rich. And she picked out this one guy from Orlando. Had a lot in common with her. He liked to dance, and he loved horses, and all this stuff.
I met Miriam on a dating site. I owned a dance studio for about 6 or 7 years, and then I had a human resources company for about 20 years. I did very well for myself. Miriam had contacted me first. She wrote, "Saw your profile and loved it. I can dance, any dance, and I'm pretty good at it. Your profile requirement described me complete to a T."
She says, "I'm gonna go down there." I said, "You're what?" I mean, this is just months after Alan had died. Even my girls were like, "God, she's dating already?" And I said, "No."
We met at TGI Fridays. She was very talkative, very nice. We hit it off really good, actually.
Miriam even opens up about the recent loss of her husband.
Miriam had told me that her husband had died of some brain disease. She said that we both felt he was going to die soon anyway, and there was no big deal. We were just waiting for the time. She handled his death very well. I just thought to myself, okay, well, big deal.
Miriam may have been trying to move on and put Alan's death behind her, but back in Colorado, investigators are taking a closer look at her, starting with her alibi from the day of Alan's murder.
Went to Orchard Mesa Market. I went to Walmart. I think I have all the receipts in my pocket.
She was able to pull out the receipts from her pocket of everywhere she had been that morning. Just didn't seem natural to us.
To show up at the police interview with a pocket full of receipts, suspicious or just thorough?
I would say very odd. That is not a normal thing.
Is that really your first thought, to explain where you had gone in great detail and keeping the receipts?
What did investigators make of her alibi?
Well, they thought it was suspicious, didn't make a lot of sense to them.
And investigators weren't the only ones with suspicions about Miriam.
Miriam, Helmick, Helmick.
Remember that local reporter who sat down with her after Alan's murder? She couldn't shake the feeling that something was off with her story.
Have you planned the funeral yet?
Oh, it's tomorrow at 10.
I start to get a weird feeling as she's talking.
I wanted to get back into dressage and decided I should have a dressage horse, so he bought several.
It was all about her. And these interviews are really supposed to be about the deceased.
His goal in life was to make me happy. He never wanted me to worry about anything or have any problems or anything, and he took care of me, everything.
As I was speaking with her, it went from feeling really bad for her to being suspicious.
Are you scared that this person might come back?
That was it.
Yes and no.
That's the look.
I don't want to leave because I'm closer to him here.
She started looking to the side. It's just like when you're talking to somebody and you know that they're lying because of nonverbal cues that they have. When I left that house, I've never scurried away from a place so quickly in my life. I was genuinely scared.
And while Miriam is talking to the media, investigators are talking to those closest to Alan. You continue with the investigation. Actually, you interview Alan's children.
Yes. Right after Alan passed, we were speaking to the daughters, and they had expressed concerns of an inability to get a hold of their dad.
He's been completely out of character, drastically since January. It's odd for my dad.
You've seen him change. You've seen him change his character.
And maybe not so much see him change his character, but through her, I can't even get to him.
He wasn't answering phone calls. He wasn't returning voicemails.
Hi, Dad. It's Portia. I hate to bother you so much. Just haven't been able to talk to you, so things are piling up.
Hey, Miriam. This is Christy. I've been calling my dad for about a week, and I'm not hearing back.
And every time I called, Miriam answered. Before then.
His phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
His cell phone. Which I thought was weird. He always answered his phone.
It appeared that he was being distanced from them.
I'm like, well, Dad, is your home phone hooked up? He's like, no. I'm like, well, how does anybody get a hold of you? Well, Miriam doesn't want anybody to bother me.
And when they would call Miriam, there was excuses as to, oh, I'll have him call you back, or he's not around.
She certainly, in the days leading up to his murder, was isolating him from his children.
Alan's kids couldn't help but wonder why Miriam seemed to be keeping them from their father in the months leading up to his murder. Could it have been something to do with a sudden decline in his health?
Father's never sick. My father's like an ox.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, every time I would talk to him, he was sick.
And did he say what he was sick from?
He didn't know. I don't think he had a clue.
But he said he couldn't even stand up. He was so dizzy.
The more investigators dig, the more troubling details they uncover, like a gun that seemed to have disappeared from Miriam and Alan's home.
One of Alan's children said she specifically remembered seeing a .25 caliber pistol in his sock drawer.
They couldn't find that gun after the murder.
Police learned of a shooting incident that had happened outside this house decades before.
Could what they find buried in this yard be the break they need? Detectives will often say that when it comes to investigating, there are no coincidences. And for those working the murder of Alan Helmick, they were certain that attempted car fire just weeks earlier was somehow connected to their case.
This area is where I was dispatched to a car fire. We saw that somebody had placed a wick in the gas tank of a vehicle. We contacted the driver. We were speaking with him. We were speaking with his wife. As I started questioning both of them, I noticed she became a bit nervous, and she said that she wasn't feeling well, needed to run to the restroom. I watched her leave the back of the vehicle, not go into the restroom she just came out of.
Not right here.
Not right here where she just went to the restroom. She actually went across 4 lanes of traffic, which...
That's strange.
Very strange.
Did she ever come back?
Not while I was on scene.
She stayed over there?
She stayed over there.
When you were still here, you went into the ladies' room.
We did.
What did you find there?
We smelled the odor of gasoline. It was fairly strong.
Since investigators learned that Miriam had been standing at the trunk right before Alan discovered the fire, they decided to bluff him, telling Alan there was surveillance video of the incident to see if he thought his wife could have been responsible.
I watched the video.
Is she on there?
I'm asking you. What do you think?
No, is she on there?
I'm
Did she
asking
like
you
it?
what you think.
No, but I could be wrong.
We bluffed Alan, and he said he didn't believe it.
And you didn't answer my question. You looked at the video.
No.
Nice little flick there. If you'd seen her on the video doing it, I would have been shocked.
The crime scene reminded investigators of a movie scene.
After all the dust had settled, our investigators started thinking about what had transpired in Delta. They thought, this sounds like the car explosion scene in No Country for Old Men, which had just come out in the last year and was a popular movie where the villain had created a distraction by lighting a magazine, sticking it into the gas inlet, and exploding the car.
As police are looking into this, they discovered that the Helmicks had rented that movie about 4 days prior to the incident.
Was this the smoking gun or smoking car?
It definitely was part of the investigation. Miriam was not charged with the arson in Delta because of the roadblock put up when Alan demanded the investigation be closed. He did not want to pursue it if we were looking at Miriam, and that he would not cooperate with the investigation.
And the detectives now investigating Alan's murder are still searching for any hard evidence that Miriam pulled the trigger. After all, they still hadn't recovered a murder weapon.
There was the issue of the firearm that was missing from the home. And in talking to the daughters, we knew that there should have been a .25 caliber Lorson in the house.
Because people had seen that gun there before.
Correct.
As luck would have it, there was an old Helmick family story from decades earlier of Alan's first wife's stepfather firing that same gun into the ground during a domestic dispute back in 1989. Could this gun, now missing, be the murder weapon?
There was some evidence that it had been in the house in the years leading up to the murder, and no evidence of what he would have done with that weapon. No evidence he sold it, gave it away, traded it. You know, where is this gun?
And then investigators bring in a metal detector into the case.
Right.
Detectives come up with a long-shot idea. Go back to the property where that domestic dispute happened back in 1989. Could they recover the bullet fired from that gun and compare it to the bullet that killed Alan?
I received a phone call from the chief investigator at the Sheriff's Department of Mesa County asking me if I would assist them in searching for a bullet.
Carol Quarles is a retired law enforcement officer who has experience using a metal detector to search for missing evidence.
So your reaction when they asked you to get involved in this case?
Oh, yeah, heck yeah. Anytime, just call me. I love finding evidence.
And you started over here?
And I started working my way around. And then I just slowly worked my way around to about midway in the yard. And I hadn't found anything.
And they were getting nervous. The investigator said, well, maybe you're not going to find it.
Yeah, maybe the witness wasn't remembering things right.
Right. To which you said,
let me check over there in case the shooter shot into that corner of the yard. And so I walked over there, and it wasn't 30 to 45 seconds, and I had the bullet.
Where did you find that bullet?
That bullet was right in this area right here. It was an aha moment. I mean, it was euphoric. That's the best way that I can explain it.
And they dug up that bullet that had been there since 1989. They were able to compare that bullet from the ground to the bullet that was recovered from Alan's headshot. And what we were able to determine was that the two bullets were consistent with each other.
The evidence is building up against her.
It is.
At this point, police believe that they have enough to arrest Miriam for Alan's murder.
But this is a woman who police believe orchestrated an attempted firebombing and shot her husband in the head in cold blood. Is she just going to go quietly?
She's being investigated for a homicide. You don't ever know that she doesn't have a gun. If she sees you and she's scared, knows what's going on, it's a real game out there at that point.
In the fall of 2008, just a few months after Alan Helmick's murder, Miriam was living in Jacksonville, Florida, attempting to move on with her life. But her past in Colorado was about to catch up with her.
I was a special agent with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement here in the Jacksonville field office. I got a call from Mesa County Sheriff's detectives, and they were investigating a homicide in Colorado.
Did you have an inkling that she might be a suspect?
It wasn't kind of until I was driving home one day and the Grand Junction police called me and said, is she living? I was like, yeah, she's with me. I don't know what's going on, but she's there.
And we sent two investigators down there with an arrest warrant.
They handcuffed her and set her right on the ground. She had a blank expression on her face, like a little bit angry looking almost.
6 months after Alan's death, Miriam is charged with first-degree murder, attempted murder for that car fire, and forgery. She pleads not guilty and is extradited from Florida back to Colorado.
What we had was a man who had led a good life and he ended up murdered, and there's a need to bring to justice the right person.
A year after being arrested and charged, Miriam Helmick goes on trial here at the Mesa County Courthouse. Prosecutors argue that the grieving widow is actually a cold-blooded killer.
Miriam Helmick standing trial for the murder of her husband was a huge deal. The courtroom was pretty packed. It was a bit chilling. Miriam did not show a lot of emotion. She didn't look like herself.
So why do prosecutors believe Miriam killed Alan? They argue the motive was as age-old as they come: money. Financial motive was the critical part of your argument.
There were suspicious bank account activity where it appeared that Miriam had forged multiple checks from Alan's account. All told, she had taken about $40,000 out of his account through writing those checks.
But the defense pushed back, saying that Miriam had Alan's permission to write those checks, both as his wife and his secretary.
Banks had been calling, trying to get a hold of Alan.
He wasn't being available to his banker, something that had never happened before.
Now there was an urgency.
Right. In fact, the banker had reached out to one of Alan's daughters, and that was tension that was building.
Prosecutors put Alan's daughter, Portia, on the stand to testify about the way Miriam seemed to be isolating her father in the months leading up to his murder.
He was much less involved in in my life. He was much more distant. I called him, and when I didn't get to his phone, I called Miriam's phone.
And when they would call Miriam, there was excuses as to, oh, I'll have him call you back, or he's not around.
If Alan was discovering that she had been taking money from him without permission, that was a possible motive.
How would he have reacted if he had found it?
Everything would have been over. You'd had our attorney on a hotline, and it would have been over.
And prosecutors argued that Miriam had tried to kill Alan not once, but twice. The first time in that failed attempt at blowing up his car. They called Miriam's horse breeder and friend, Jerry Yarborough, to the stand.
When I went on the stand, I was super scared because I knew my testimony was going to be not so good for Miriam.
Jerry told jurors about a conversation she said she had with Miriam after that failed car bombing.
She had said that she found out that a car won't explode if it has a full tank of gas.
And when she said that, what was her demeanor?
She laughed.
That catch you off guard?
Pretty much.
But the defense pointed out that if Miriam was after Alan's money, why would she try to blow up his car while he was holding that large cashier's check he had just received?
The piece of evidence that was really the smoking gun, almost literally, was the bullet that was able to be recovered from that lawn in Delta.
How pivotal was that in tying Miriam to the crime?
That was a nice piece of evidence because we didn't actually find the gun, but we had a story about the gun, how it was seen in the home. Now we have a bullet that roughly matches the bullet that was recovered from Alan.
But as Miriam's defense pointed out, roughly matched is not the same as a perfect match.
Couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Then the defense did something you don't often see at a murder trial.
The defense calls Miriam Helmick to the stand.
They called Miriam to testify in her own defense.
Once you got inside, what did you see?
I saw Alan on the floor. I dropped my bags and went to him. He was cold and gray. I held his hand for a few minutes and tried to make some sense of it all.
Miriam stayed on that stand for 2 days, denying that she had anything to do with Alan's murder. When prosecutors got their chance to cross-examine her, they pressed her on the infamous run, run, run card that she admitted sending to herself.
You were just acting at that time, weren't you?
Yes, just briefly.
You concocted a complete ruse to lead them on a wild goose chase away from you and towards some phantom killer out there, correct?
If they'd actually had contacted me or listened, then maybe I wouldn't have been at that point.
That was probably not the best decision to be made, but I think at that point she was probably broken, just emotionally and mentally broken.
That video really did undermine Miriam's credibility.
Showing her purchasing that card was very difficult for the defense to rebut.
After 16 days of testimony, the jury gets the case.
They come back with a verdict in 5 hours for a first-degree murder case. You just don't see that.
5 hours was very fast.
The verdict, guilty
on all counts.
There was a little bit of a sigh of relief.
Well, you thought, good, she's going to get what she has coming.
She was sentenced to life without parole. I think that spoke volumes to all of the evidence, circumstantial or not, that was stacked up against her.
But Miriam says the jury got it wrong, and she had a lot more to say when we spoke in her first interview since being convicted. Miriam, are you telling me that your husband Alan started the car fire himself? Why would he do that?
This is the first time she's spoken publicly since her 2009 sentencing. I asked Miriam about first meeting Alan back when she was his dance instructor in Grand Junction.
And was it love at first sight?
Well, not really, no, because I was there trying to work, and but he just never gave up. Let's just put it that way.
He was very persistent. And then eventually you fell in love with him.
Yes. It was kind of hard not to. I mean, he's a very, very kind, very sweet man, and he always had your best interest at heart, usually.
Alan's kids say that you were isolating him from them in the months prior to his death. Was that true?
No. But he would get really pale during the day, and I would make him rest. And so I would take his phone away where he wouldn't ring so that he could get some rest. Because it seemed like they always called when he was trying to get a nap.
Next message. Hey, this is Portia. I'm starting to get a complex here because you guys have never not picked up your phone.
Our pathologist, Dr. Kurtzman, indicated there was evidence of advanced heart disease. So if he was not feeling well, it was probably attributable to the heart disease.
Prosecutors say that you fraudulently had written about $40,000 in checks on Alan's money that he was about to find out, and that's why you killed him.
He could look up online anytime and see what was coming out of his bank account. Nobody stopped him from doing that. So anything that was written with his approval.
Did you steal any money from Alan?
No, I didn't take anything from him because everything that was put into the bank went into his bank account. None of it came to me.
Did you have anything to do with starting that car fire?
No, I didn't have any inclination to do it. But I almost believe that he started his own car fire.
You mean to tell me that Alan started the car fire himself? Why would he try to do that and possibly hurt himself?
Well, I don't think he thought about hurting himself, and it took me a while to wrap my head around that he would possibly do anything like that.
Miriam says Alan may have tried to set the car fire for the insurance money.
I started to wonder if he did, because as soon as he got his car home, he applied for the insurance on it.
It's a claim that's hard to back up, but Alan was adamant with authorities that he did not believe Miriam would ever try to kill him.
I had called Alan to advise him that I felt his current wife, Miriam, was trying to kill him. And Alan got upset with me and told me that Miriam would never do that to him. And at that point, he asked me to terminate the case.
What about the gun that was missing from your home and Alan's home?
I didn't know it was missing until this whole thing, so I have no idea how or where it went.
It had an unusual family history, that gun.
I know when I first met him, 2 years before that, I saw it when we were moving, and I asked him to put it away because I don't like handguns. I just don't. I already had to deal with that kind of thing. It was very unnerving to me. That was the last time I saw it.
Now, authorities also questioned your alibi, all the receipts that you had. It looked like you were trying so hard to create an alibi. Were you?
It's not uncommon for anybody to pocket their receipts. I had cash and receipts, so they went in my pocket. I've done that all my life.
It makes sense to us that she shot him before she ran the errands. Then she runs all the errands, and she creates an alibi for herself on purpose, intending to throw people off.
Miriam, did you kill your husband, Alan?
I did not.
Do you think you'll get out of prison someday?
I do, eventually, because I know that I'm going to keep digging, and I know that we're going to be able to put this together.
What do you think will prove your innocence now?
The fact that I had no GSR on me. I had no blood spray on me.
Wouldn't the blood spatter and the gunshot residue be easily washed off if you took a shower?
Well, you know, that's funny because when I went to the police station that afternoon, you could tell I hadn't taken a shower. There was even some dirt under my fingernails, pretty much from doing the barn that morning and helping him shovel out stalls.
So you had not washed anything off?
No, I hadn't changed clothes, nothing.
Miriam has filed numerous appeals with the courts. They've all been rejected, but she vows to keep on fighting.
Won't won't be over for anybody till it's over for me, and I do have hope. I know that I didn't kill him. Now that I'm on this path, I'm not going to lay down and die with it. I'm sorry, it's just not in my nature to do that.
How often do you think about him?
I think about him all the time. He was funny. He would say things that I remember. His biggest thing was, it's only business. Treat it that way. You know, he was fun to be around.
After the trial, did you see your mom again?
I did not. I have not seen her since the trial.
After so long, what did Miriam finally have to say to her son?
Don't forget, you're gonna put on your jacket too. We're not used to the 30-degree weather that's awaiting us.
No, we're from Florida.
Maybe different.
This past November, Chris Giles and his wife Kelly flew to Colorado for a much-anticipated visit to see his mom, Miriam, in prison.
So she's in the Dimmins Women's Correctional Facility. So it'll be the first time in probably about 15 years that I've seen her. I have not seen her since the trial.
Why not?
I think for one, I didn't want to have to just see her that way. See her kind of broken and see her in that situation. I was also kind of mad. I was mad that all this had kind of happened.
Over the years, one by one, Chris lost his entire family to different forms of tragedy.
It's just kind of a whirlwind, and then all of a sudden this happens.
That new husband dies, and then she's arrested.
Yeah. You're trying to figure out how to deal with those things, and you kind of got to deal with the pain, you got to deal with the hurt. Let's rock and roll. It's probably nervous like me, you know, a little bit nervous, a little excited.
Our cameras were not allowed inside the prison, but Chris tells me that reuniting with his mom, while complicated, was also healing for him.
First thing she did was apologize.
What did she say?
As soon as we sat down. She said, I'm sorry for everything I put you through. She said, I'm sorry that we had to go through this. But still, once we got to the Alan part, she was firm in that she was innocent of all that stuff. And so we just hashed out kind of what had happened.
Do you believe your mother had anything to do with Alan's murder?
I do not.
With your father?
I do not, no.
Seeing your mom was a big step for you after all these years.
Forgiveness is a big thing, you know. It's huge when you can work through that and go, I don't have to forget about it, but I can choose to forgive you for it.
But when it comes to Alan's family and friends, there are some things that they say they would rather forget.
Try not to think about the murder. I more like to think about the fun times that we had with Alan. Those are good memories.
What do you think Alan would have wanted people to remember about him?
He was a lot of fun. This kind of guy you could, meet and have a drink with and have a good laugh.
He treated everybody with fairness and respect and gave a lot of love to those around him. Nobody wanted to hurt him except for his own wife. She ended up taking this man's life.
Oh, I mean, a good man was killed. I don't know whether justice is served or not. She's in jail and apparently she's never going to get out, but he's still dead. You can't bring him back.
I think his legacy is that he was tried and true in the community. He did what he said he was going to do. Alan was truly loved by everyone that knew him.